Microphone. Good morning, Trustee. Okay, good morning. Aloha, everyone, and welcome to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, the Board of Trustees. Today is Monday, July 30th, 2026. Current time right now is 9:09 a.m. Board Secretary, please confirm attendance with a roll call vote.
Trustee Ahuna.
Eu.
Trustee Akaka. Trustee Akina.
Aloha mai kako.
Trustee Alapa. Trustee Galuteria.
Eu.
Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza.
Eu.
Trustee Waihe'e is on his way. Chair Kahele.
Present.
We have 8 trustees present. You have quorum.
All right, thank you, Lehu. I'd like to call Keishan, Kikina if he's here, or if not, our interim CEO Administrator Summer Silva to recognize key staff that are in attendance today. Welcome, Summer.
Thank you. Yes, today we have supporting this meeting our Chief Financial Officer, Dian Patel, our Investment Director, Ryan Lee, our Budget Chief, Grace Chen, our Associate General Counsel, Rosella Gog, and Director of Communications, Bill Brennan. Mahalo.
Okay, thanks, Summer. And here in attendance, we have our Board Secretary, Lehua Ito Kazu, our Interim Chief of Staff, Alina Yayong, Kapona Kiakona, Board Counsel, as well as numerous other trustees, secretary aides, and staff supporting our trustees today. Trustees, our first item on the agenda is approval of minutes. What is before the board is approval of the March 19th, 2026, March 25th, 2026, and the April 2nd, 2026 minutes. I'd like to have unanimous consent to take all 3 minutes and approve them in one agenda. Okay. Lehua, do we have anyone sign up to speak on the approval of minutes?
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Okay, trustees, any discussion on said minutes for approval? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Ahuna.
Aye.
Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Alapa. Aye. Trustee Galuteria. Aye. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza.
Aye.
Trustee Waihe'e isn't. Chair Kahele.
Aye.
8 yes votes.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Lehua, as well as other supporting staff that helped prepare our March and April minutes. All right, trustees, we're moving on to new business. New business will be the Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment. The board had a great discussion in the BA committee yesterday with the East Maui ditch and water diversion system, and we mahalo all the community members and elected officials and our beneficiaries that provided a really good, robust discussion on this issue on Maui. So the chair will now recognize the BAE chair, Chair Galuteria, for new business action item A. There will be 2 motions, motion 1 and 2.
Thank you, Chair. Your Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment, having met yesterday, July 29th, 2026, and after full and free discussion and incredible testifying, recommends approval of the following motions to the Board of Trustees. Action item BAE 26-05, OHA's position and possible action concerning the East Maui Ditch and Diversion System. Motion 1, the OHA Board of Trustees approves staff recommendation to continue supporting restoration of streams in East Maui, consistent with OHA's constitutional and statutory responsibilities, the BOT Hawaii policy, and OHA's long-standing advocacy for the restoration of East Maui streams and Native Hawaiian traditional and customary rights as set forth in Attachment B. This includes supporting efforts to ensure Mahipono complies with existing court orders to restore water to streams and remedy East Maui ditch system losses that contribute to unneeded diversion and waste of stream waters. And motion 2, the OHA Board of Trustees approve staff recommendations to support community-led public governance for East Maui water, including transfer of the Crown and government lands and its resources thus far to the county and management by Maui's East Water Authority, its community board, Hawaii o Maui Hikina, and the County of Maui Department of Water Supply.
Okay, thank you, Chair Galuteria. Lehua, do we have any public testimony signed up for item A, both motions, motion 1 and 2?
Yes, we have one person online. We have Ohana Unity Party.
Okay, great.
Aloha mai kako. Good morning, Pikachu Shelby Burner. Good to see you all trustees smiling and happy. I attended the committee meeting. Glad to see you all smiling. And thank you for putting all those words for after all the hours. So shout out to you guys' decision. I approved all the motions and everything that we're working together for Maui to all the neighbor islands. So definitely approve all this. And thank you because we just discussed all of this. I already sent my emails to support everything that we're going together. Even though I already emailed it before, we did it again. So thank you very much. This should be a fast agenda. Hopefully we don't go this all day. So mahalo nui loa. May the force be with you always. Chihu. Yeah, you. Aloha.
Okay, trustees, we have motion 1 that's on the table. We've taken public testimony on this action item. Do we have any discussion on motion 1? If not, roll call vote on motion 1.
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka. Aye. Trustee Akina,
Aye.
Trustee Alapa. Trustee Galuteria,
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza,
Aye.
Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 8 yes votes.
Okay, thank you. And on motion 2, which is also on the table, any discussion on motion 2? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka. Aye. Trustee Akina,
Aye.
Trustee Alapa. Yes. Trustee Galuteria,
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza,
Aye.
Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 8 yes votes.
Okay, thank you. Next item on our agenda is the Budget and Finance Committee. Before action item BF 2615. We have 3 motions, motion A, motion B, motion C. And this would be for the approval of FY 27 Capital Improvement Project Grant Awards and reassignment of unused CIP FY 26 funds to the FY 27 CIP program. We are awaiting Chair Waihe's attendance, and so Vice Chair Ahuna of the BNF Committee, can you read the 3 motions into the record before we public testimony?
Action 1, approve the reassignment of $2,550,000 in unused fiscal year 26 CIP funds to the fiscal year 27 CIP program.
Motion B?
Action 2, approve of FY 27 CIP grant award totaling $339,600 to Hui Malama o Kane o Olomo for construction for restoration of an ancient Hawaiian village on Kauai, subject to final eligibility, documentation, budget, and contracting requirements.
And finally, action 3, motion.
Action C is not related to the budget.
Action 3,
The third one is?
C,
Motion C.
it's not related. Is that what you're asking him to read?
Yeah, it would be the second BNF approved CIP project that was approved yesterday by the board.
Right? But the next one.
There's no C. ABC? The Ho'olu Lahui? Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry.
and Action 3, approve of FY 27 CIP grant award totaling $500,000, subject to final eligibility, documentation, budget, and contracting requirements to Ho'olu Lahui for land acquisitions for acquisition of property for public charter school in Puna.
Okay.
Just for clarification, it says action, but it's motions.
Right,
That's
sure.
what he means.
Aloha. Let the record reflect,
sorry.
Chair Waihe has joined us. So before handing it over to Chair Waihe, just for context for our beneficiaries. So the capital improvement project program that the board approved last year has come to the board for approval. Part of that is the reassignment of the FY26 funds of 2.55 million to the FY27 CIP program so they can be executed. And then the second and third motions are what the board approved yesterday, which was 2 of the 6 staff recommendations. One for 339,600 to Hui Malama o Kane'olo Uma. And the third one is $500,000 to Ho'ulu Lahui on Hawaii Island. So that's what this action item is. The other 4 remaining staff recommended CIP program awards have been deferred to a later date to give the trustees a chance to work with staff and to go through the different applications, as well as applicants 7 through 13 that didn't get an award to determine if those are the right amounts and the right awards to be given. And we'll bring that back to the board when the BNF chair makes a determination that it's ready to be presented to the BNF committee. So that's what is on the table. Public testimony, Lehua, on action item 2615
Yes.
and the 3 motions. Yes. Okay, great.
We have one person. We have Ohana Unity Party.
Hello, my kako, Pikachu, Shelby Billionaire, back again, Pokemon Power, Chihu, yeah, let's go. We went through this so much, I have to give you guys good news. We were watching this all day yesterday. We only had 17 views, like maximum on Facebook Live, 12 to 7. OHA doesn't do good. Our first meeting, committee one, about benefit, we had over 1,600. I just checked right now. The budget finance, you guys, bro, it was so much. I love you guys. We had over 1,800 views. That is skyrocketing for OHA on Facebook Live. That's not YouTube. I just checked this morning, right? It was long day, and we're still going through it. So thank God we approved it, and it's going through, and already deferred it. Kai, thank you for saying it. We got the Chair Whitehead is going to explain the rest, so I got to explain. Thank you very much. We'll save the time. Let's get lunch, baby. Choo, yeah, you, aloha.
Lehua, anyone else signed up to testify?
No one else is signed up to testify.
Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to Chair Waihe'e.
Thanks.
We're at the point of public discussion. Chair, we've already
all
read the
three.
motions. They're sitting on the table,
Okay, all 3 of them.
all 3 of them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now I'm ready to vote.
Trustees, any, Chairman Lindsay.
Thank you. I asked yesterday of the chair if these budget items will also be considered before distribution of the monies, because otherwise we don't know what these projects are about other than what's listed here. In other words, we didn't do due diligence on, let's say, the first item like Kane'olo Uma. So, I mean, we cannot just put money in the budget and approve it without knowing what we're approving. We need to know what the project is all about. Are they going to put in culvert? They're going to build a house? What is it?
What's in there? It's in their application that we all have in front of us. And so did you get a chance to review their specific application?
I did,
Okay.
but I did want to have a discussion about it when it's time to give out the money.
I mean, it was approved in the committee yesterday, which.
We didn't have a discussion about anything, what they're going to do.
Well, you had an opportunity to ask questions of the staff. You have had the application. I mean, you can ask questions now. We can call the staff up now to ask questions, but you voted to approve it in committee, so it's sitting there on the table
We're good
now.
with approving, but we want to know how the money is going to be spent.
Want staff to, you want us to ask questions? Okay. I'm gonna hand it to Chair Waihe'e. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
Aloha, good morning, Chair, Trustees. So for the first, the organization you're requesting, they originally had requested $400,000, which matched their state CIP award. After the evaluation period and after grants did our due diligence on their budget, what they submitted, we did adjust down their request to the amount you see before you. We did remove disallowed costs that were more programmatic in nature versus CIP. So some of the costs we removed had to do with ordering T-shirts, docent training, which is not, a CIP expense, and some other items, and really kept it towards what a capital improvement project would be. So the rock wall rebuild, clearing the land, making the pathways, those sorts of expenses we kept in their budget.
Are they going to construct something?
They are not constructing. They are clearing, rebuilding, preserving this heiau.
So basically, this money is going towards labor.
Labor and materials are needed. So there are portions of the wall, I think, where they're going to have to source pohaku to replicate, what was there before. Yeah.
Okay, I'm curious because I'm very familiar with that heiau. And I know what damage the upper project did to it. So I was concerned about how this money going to be spent. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, are there any other questions for, on the motion on the table? Okay, if not, do I call a roll call vote? Okay, can I get a roll call vote?
Trustee Ahuna,
Yes.
Trustee Akaka, Trustee Akina, Trustee Alapa, Trustee Galuteria, Trustee Lindsay, Trustee Souza, Trustee Waihe'e,
Yes.
Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 9 yes votes.
Okay, Chair Wahe, motion C. It's a second CIP grant award totaling $500,000 for Ho'olu Lahui for land acquisition, for acquisition of property for public charter school in Puna. No, we did only one.
I move that one. I don't. Okay, so I move to approve an FY27 CIP grant award totaling 300.
500.
I don't know, totaling $500,000 subject to final eligibility, documentation, budget, and contracting requirements to Ho'olu Lahui for land acquisition, of a property for a public charter school in
Puna.
Puna.
Yeah.
That's odd. That's oddly worded. Okay. Discussion on this action.
No, Chair, the only discussion I'd have just for the public record is this project supports Kuokala Public Charter School, who at one time had their school all the way down in very close to kind of Kapoho in lower Puna. And they had their charter school covered by lava. They relocated that to two different sites, but for several years now, since that destructive lava flow, have had their charter school on the grounds of Nanimau Gardens, just off of Puna, in Panaeva. And so this opportunity is for this charter school to look at a new location and to finally rebuild their school that was destroyed by the 2018 lava flow, 2019 lava flow.
Okay, if there's no further discussion on this motion, can I get a roll call vote for its approval?
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka. Aye. Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Alapa. Trustee Galuteria. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza. Trustee Waihe'e.
Yes.
Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 9 yes votes.
Okay, thanks, Lehua. All right, Chair Wahe, we have the second action item from your agenda yesterday, which is BF 2616.
That we approve PS 2660. I don't, which is to, I move that we approve the FY 26-27 budget realignment number 3 as summarized at attachment 1 and approve the carryover of up to $95,977.13 in unspent, uncommitted, and uncommitted funds from Board Action BF 2601, originally appropriated for the permitted interaction group budget for military lease negotiations and advocacy initiatives into FY 2027. These funds will support the Office of Hawaiian Affairs Military Lease Land Initiative, including strategic planning, legal analysis, community engagement, and advocacy efforts related to the future of U.S. military lease lands in Hawaii. And that 13 cents was very vital that it be carried over because, you know, no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, is there any discussion on this motion?
Well, let's do any public testimony.
Public testimony?
Lehua, public
yes.
testimony on action item BF 2616?
Yes, we have one person. We have Ohana Unity Party.
Okay.
Hello, my kako. Pikachu, Shelby Billionaire back. I know we discussed this yesterday, but my play on this is if you're going to spend 95 grand, almost 100 grand to have a military discussion with the military. My simple idea is this. I already pitched it to Nanakuli, to Waianae. When I talk to the Army commanders, I want to do a summer beach barbecue with the military and our community. And that's easier to come together because if you're trying to have a stage and do all these things and have the Hawaiian Kingdom or the command talk, we're always going to fight and argue. But if we can get everyone to come together, cook together, clean together, I'm even willing to apply for that Ho'okahi Lahui event sponsorship so you guys can help fund this dream and idea of mine because Nanakuli and Waianae boards don't have a budget, but you guys do. So if you guys have 95 grand, I'm just saying it doesn't cost that much to go to Costco. The MWR, as Chair Kaikala and veterans know, we can get the cheap volleyball nets, tug of war. You know, we can teach them how to swim canoe. We can do relay races. We can have fun with building bonds and camaraderie. And it's cheap. You know, who can be the fastest to clean up the beach, the military or the Hawaiian Kanaka? Let's go. You got to get the kids working together, cleaning together. Can they fish? I don't know. I've never seen a Hawaiian drown in the beach, in the shore. That's not my problem for liability, but we're going to figure this out together with OHA, with the military, because we still have veterans inside, outside, and let's do this together. What you spend 100 grand on? I don't know. I'd rather do a buffet, but if we got to cater, I just order the bentos so I don't got to cook. But if we got to do this together, I want everyone to cook together, clean together, and bond together, just like we're doing basic training. And we have to, you know, if we can't do it like Jesus, break bread and have wine and water together, they're not gonna administer the treaties. You can see what's happening with the war with Trump, Iran, Jordan, and we're running out of ammunition. Air Force, we know we don't produce missiles out of Ohio and it just goes up to Iran. And we're worried about China, Taiwan, and a lot of things are into the mix with Russia, the whole war, and that's how our mind works. Trump sucks at this. I know you guys do better. So make the right decision, invite him to the barbecue. Chihu, yeah, you, aloha, because I'm getting hungry.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else signed up to testify on this action?
There's no one else signed.
Okay, with that, is there any discussion on this? If there's not, can I get a roll call vote?
Trustee Ahuna? Aye. Trustee Akaka? Trustee Akina?
Kanlua.
Trustee Alapa? Nope. Trustee Galuteria? Trustee Lindsay? No. Trustee Souza? Trustee Wahe'e? Yes. Chair Kahele?
Aye.
And Trustee Akina?
Okay,
I have 4 no and 5 yes.
okay, members, I have to
Yeah.
apparently go back to something, to our action to redo an action for reasons I'm told are too complicated to explain. So,
Well, yeah. That's, I think what we should do,
Okay.
because we were going to vote on motion A, action 1, but then we started to discuss the Kauai project, and I think that got muddled. So we should vote on motion A first, which is a reassignment of the funding from 26 to 27. And then we should revote motion B again, which would be the heao, and vote on that. And I think that cleans it up.
So I'm going to make this motion right here, right? That's up.
Yes.
Can you, whatever, guys, whatever you want me to do, just put it up so I can read it. So this is what, you want me to do this? This is it?
Okay. And, Chair, if it's okay, the legal counsel advised that with unanimous consent of the board, since we already voted to retake the vote. We all okay with that? Just to clear the record? Okay. Okay, Chair.
I move to approve the reassignment of $2,550,000 in unused FY26 CIP funds to the FY27 CIP program. Is there any, do I have to take testimony?
No,
I guess?
we did already.
Okay, so if there's no discussion, can I get a roll call vote?
Trustee Ahuna,
Yes.
Trustee Akaka. Aye. Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Alapa. Yes. Trustee Galuteria.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay. Aye. Trustee Souza.
Aye.
Trustee Wahe'e.
Yes.
Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 9 yes votes.
Okay, the motion passes. Now I'm going to move to approve the FY27 CIP grant award totaling $339,600 to Hui Malama o Kane'oluma for construction for restoration of an ancient Hawaiian village on Kauai, subject to final eligibility, documentation, budget, and contracting requirements. Is there any discussion on this action, members? Trustee Ahuna.
This, for the record, you know, when people apply for grants, everybody has opportunities to apply for a grant. And everybody goes through whatever policies and procedures that they have to go through. For me, you know, what I've learned is when we can disagree, but we cannot take each other out. And the reason why I'm saying this is I'm not here to question the people of this organization. It's about questioning the grants people, questioning the right people for this kind of stuff. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good that we go against the people of the organization. They all apply just like everybody else. And the reason why I say this is because these kind of things on my island happen so much. Poi mails, all kinds of stuff happen. And it's because we're not taking the time to talk about what is the issue. Okay, the issue is we have these grants, okay, and we should be talking to the grants. We shouldn't be saying anything about the people of these nonprofits. And another thing too is there's a lot of things we do before. We shouldn't be questioning things. There's procedures where we can ask those questions to the people. I just don't want to hurt our people. I'm not against our people. We can disagree, but we cannot take each other out. That's all I want to say.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on this? Okay, if there's not, then can I get a roll call vote for its approval?
Trustee Ahuna.
Yes.
Trustee Akaka. Aye. Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Alapa. Yes. Trustee Galuteria.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay. Aye. Trustee Souza.
Aye.
Trustee Wahe'e.
Yes.
Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 9 yes votes.
Okay, the motion passes. I think I'm turning it back over.
Okay,
to
great. Thanks,
Chair
Chair
Kahele.
Waheha, and thank you for your work on the Budget and Finance Committee. Our last, the next item on our agenda is BOT 2610. This is to approve the time period, budget, and arrangements for the hiring process of the OHA Administrator, Chief Executive Officer of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Lehua, do we have anyone signed up to speak on this agenda item?
Yes, we have one person signed up to speak. Actually, we have 2. Our first person is Jermaine Myers.
Okay. Welcome, Jermaine. Morning, Jermaine. We are talking about BOT 2610. Thank you for joining us this morning. You're recognized.
Awesome. Mahalo. Aloha, Honorable Trustees.
Aloha.
My name is Jermaine Myers. I'm an OHA beneficiary and longtime advocate. I respectfully ask the board to consider the message this action sends to the Native Hawaiian beneficiaries you serve. Nearly a year ago, the board placed OHA Administrator Stacy Kealohalani Ferreira on paid administrative leave. To this day, beneficiaries have never been told why. We were never told what conduct prompted that action. We were never told what allegations were being investigated. We were never told why the board believed such an extraordinary action was necessary. Instead, beneficiaries have watched nearly a year of executive sessions, investigations, litigation, attorney fees, investigation fees, and public controversy without ever being given a basic explanation of why our administrator was removed from her duties. Now, before beneficiaries have received that transparency, this board is being asked to begin the process of hiring a new administrator. I respectfully ask, what message does that send? What message does it send when OHA begins advertising the position, recruiting applicants, conducting interviews, and negotiating with prospective candidates while the current administrator's contract has not yet expired and litigation concerning her employment remains pending? OHA has previously conducted a national search after an administrator resigned and the position became vacant. This situation is different. The current administrator has not resigned. Her contract remains in effect through October 31st, 2026. Yet beneficiaries still have not been told why she was removed from her duties nearly 1 year ago. Regardless of where anyone stands on the litigation, beneficiaries deserve transparency before this board moves forward with replacing the leader of our OHA Trust. Transparency builds trust. Silence does not. Especially silence by the 5 trustees that approved to place Administrator Stacy K. Ferreira on paid administrator leave on September 23rd, 2025. I respectfully ask the board to consider whether proceeding with this hiring process at this time reflects the principles of fairness, accountability, and pono governance that beneficiaries expect from OHA. Kia kua pu, God bless all of you.
Lehua, anyone else?
Yes, we have one more person. We have Ohana Unity Party online.
Hello, Mike Ako, Pikachu Shabnir. I'm back. So I just tried to check your website, OHA.org. So shout out to Jermaine Myers. I'm glad she's there. I couldn't see her face, but we know the voice. She's always there before me, but this time it's me and her. So Chihu, shout out to all the west side and everyone you guys. So I tried to find OHA.org. Where is the CEO position? We know that the interim CEO, Summer Silva, made the speech at the Hawaiian Council Convention. However, it's not on your website yet, so it might be a closed position. So the basic requirements is if people want to apply for your new CEO job, what are your basic requirements? How many years of experience you need? What is the salary range? I know it's about 200 to 270. You guys were debating about that. But if you guys are going to put this and approve of it, obviously you got public testimony because the current CEO, Stacy, is not out of the job. And then you're looking for a new CEO. But if you want what are the requirements? And I think you should put it out there so at least the people know if they have qualifications, they can apply for. Because I am concerned with some of the pay. The expenses that we've gone over the budget yesterday and today. For example, the military pig, the pua'a, is $95K. As an OHA trustee, you only make $91,000. So why is the pig making that expense for this military pig to interaction group when that's more than you guys make in a year? So to me, I'm very concerned with the expenses, just like the legal fees that are coming up. 44K yesterday, 74K. So it feels like OHA is being milked like a cow, and you guys got to bring in the reins and you guys can figure out the numbers and work it out together. Because whoever is the new CEO, you're gonna have to figure this out, working out together. Because the expenses to me are too high, and you got to bring it back in so it goes directly to the beneficiaries. So, because some of our people are still afraid to get the OHA red card, and they don't know what OHA does. So I know we can work on this together. Thanks very much. Aloha.
Thank you. Anyone else sign up to testify?
No one else has signed up to testify.
Okay, great. Then the chair is going to make a motion to approve Board of Trustee action item number 2610, the time period, budget, and arrangements for the hiring process of OHA Administrator, Chief Executive Officer of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. That's a motion on the table. Before we do trustee discussion, I will explain the action item and call up staff and OHA's contractor who will be doing the executive search for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. So trustees, the action item in front of you is grounded in OHA's board governance and its existing statutes. Generally speaking, when there is a vacancy or there will be a vacancy of the Office of the Administrator, that we, in our bylaws, describe explicitly functioning as the Chief Executive Officer of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, that appointment is done through a simple majority of all of our board members. That is in HRS 1010. Within OHA's bylaws, the Committee on Budget and Finance is a committee of purview that has jurisdiction over the executive search for the administrator, but must do so in consultation with the Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment. So that would be Chair Waihe'e that will lead this process, working together with Chair Galuteria. Through the, further, the Executive Policy Manual outlines the search process for identifying and hiring an administrator. Part of that process is that this board will approve the time period, budget, and arrangements for the executive search. So that is through this action item. What is triggering this action item is contract number 4374, which was executed on October 31st, 2023 by then Board of Trustees Chairperson Lindsay. That contract will expire 94 days from now on October 31st, 2026. The contract expressly does not provide for any automatic extension. In order to extend, amend, or modify the agreement, that will need board approval, and absent such board action, this contract will terminate on October 31st, 2026, and so it is incumbent upon this board and its fiduciary duties that it has to commence the next search for OHA's administrator in an orderly, transparent, and uninterrupted leadership transition. Part of the Biennium budget that this board adopted last year on June 30, 2025 was funding to help fund any type of contract negotiation or performance evaluation with the OHA CEO, utilizing the, and because of the urgency of filling this position, utilizing the Chief Procurement Officer and Head of Purchasing Agency statutory provisions that are provided to the OHA chairperson. An executive search exemption was published on OHA's website, number 2609, on June 29th. And on July 24th, myself as the Chief Procurement Officer for OHA selected Kumabe Human Resources and Staffing to provide executive recruitment services in support of the board for the selection of the next OHA administrator. As you are well aware, Kumabe, led by its principal, Marie Kumabe, is no stranger to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs because it led this board through the 2023 recruitment of the executive search for the OHA administrator. And so Kumabe Human Resources provides valuable institutional knowledge and familiarity with OHA's governance structure, our organizational culture, and executive selection process. Part of this action item also is certified by the Chief Financial Officer and our Budget Chief in terms of the funding that is available for the third-party contractor. This board is not required to have a third-party contracting firm do its executive search, but in this case, like it was done in 2023, has decided to move forward through utilizing that process and utilizing a contractor that's very well versed in the Office of Hawaiian Affairs and executive recruitment, both here in the state of Hawaii and nationally as well. So first thing I'll do is I'll call up any one from the administration. I'd like to call up Roselle from Representative General Counsel's Office, and Grace from the Budget Office to discuss those two pieces of the action item. And then I will recognize Kumabe, and I see Marie on. Thank you for joining us. And they have provided a robust timeline as well as a brief PowerPoint presentation that was uploaded with your board materials as it relates to this action item. Once Marie finishes her presentation, then we're happy to have robust discussion. So first of all, thanks, Roselle, for joining us and for filling in for our general counsel while he's on vacation. Can you speak at all to the legality of our action item and contract procurement and termination of the contract and why this is incumbent upon the trustees meeting its fiduciary duties to get this work going?
Well, I think you've mentioned it earlier, but I know that there are several matters up in the air with regards to the current CEO. However, the one thing that is clear is that her contract is ending at the end of October. And that is something that this board cannot ignore, knowing that it is going to expire, but also that there is no automatic renewal. So the board has to act, no matter the circumstance, knowing that this is happening. So regardless of what is happening externally, there is a duty for the board to make sure that there is continued governance over the agency. And so there is no legal problem with proceeding in this fashion. In fact, it is your fiduciary duty to actually consider and plan for continued governance of the agency.
Okay, and I know yourself, like myself, was not here back in 2023, but every single other trustee at this board table was. But when looking back at 2023 and modeling the same process that then Chair Lindsay oversaw during that time, which started in the June-July timeframe of 2023, what is being presented before the board is consistent with the timeline that was utilized, which was about a 90 to 120-day process from board approval, public posting, and the work that Kumabe did to get to a final board vote, and ultimately when Chair Merida executed the contract in late October of 2023.
Yes, that is correct. True, I was not here as well, but Everett did leave some guidance and his recollection and institutional knowledge as to the process that occurred back in 2023, and that is consistent, that this selection process takes a while, it takes some time, and that you need to be able to allow for that time to have the process proceed with integrity and have the process to vet the people that will be applying. So the time frame is correct. It is probably about 3 months, which is what Everett left me in the emails that he gave. So it is not inconsistent with past practices, basically.
Thank you. Grace, as far as the dollars and cents, can you speak to that and what was already allocated late 26, now what we're into FY budgets 27, and the financial resources to support the third-party vendor contract?
Sure. In terms of the fiscal 27 budget, we're currently the fiscal 27 year. It was budgeted for $50,000. So this action item would activate for the board office to initiate a PR in order to initiate the process. Additionally, in 2026, there was $20,000, and that was not spent. However, it was encumbered in a PR, so it's also available use and can be added to this if need to. So a total of $70,000.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. At this time, I'd like to recognize Kumabe, and I see Marie on board. And welcome, Marie, back to the Office of Foreign Affairs. You guys are good? And I'll recognize you to present your work, maybe say a few opening comments to our fellow trustees who you're very familiar with, and some of the processes that you've outlined for this executive search.
Aloha trustees, and of course, I just also want to include Kimberly. We're usually joined at the hip, but today we're actually in different states. So aloha to everyone. And we just want to share how very fortunate we feel to be partnering with you folks again on what we consider some extremely important work that the Office of Hawaiian Affairs has done and will continue to do for your beneficiaries and for our state, and to have a small part in being able to facilitate this process with you is something we're very grateful for. So thank you. I will go ahead and just share a quick overview, and then certainly I can answer any questions. Next slide. Just going to look at the search process, the strategy, and the timeline, followed by recruiting and advertising, looking at what evaluation tools that we are going to recommend using. We can chat a little bit about concerns and obstacles, and finally, hopefully, answer questions and then approve the action. Next slide. So just to kind of remind, and hopefully you have a copy of the most updated timeline. I think we usually share that the toughest part of our job isn't finding amazing people, it's really coordinating very busy people's schedule. So we produced kind of a draft timeline with input from the chair's office, and we are going to kind of work towards this. So if there's any red flags that anybody sees as we begin the search, please advise. We have received the award and the contract, and have been working with the chair's office to update the job description to make it much more user-friendly, for lack of a better word. And also, the chair had a vision of having a very nice document that really further talks about the mission of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs to really get candidates excited and really make them understand, as well as, I think important in the executive profile, will share the relationship of the board and the administrator/CEO. So that's in process. And then to answer, I think some of your beneficiaries had questions, and I know interim administrator Summer announced at the convention that the process would begin. So there hasn't been any initial recruitment until after this meeting. So then at that point, the job description is approved, and the profile will be available for the public and getting the word out there. As soon as we get approval today, the next step on our agenda would be to hopefully, with all of your amazing staff's help, arrange a 30-minute meeting with each of you trustees over the next week or so. And wherever we can fit, we will mix our schedule to whenever you are available for us to make sure we get a broad-based consensus on all of your thoughts. In that 5-week recruiting period, we will come up with the 5 most qualified candidates rated by competencies and their qualifications for the committee. We also are, you may get 6 or 7, as you know, if there's people that we think you should get your eyes on, we'll make sure that they come up, and so, but 5 is our target. Also, subsequent to that, you folks will have the ability to kind of discuss the candidates. We always have available for you to answer questions, and then decide from there who you want to make part of the formal process. Following your exposure to the initial candidates, generally after our interviews are conducted and we give you feedback and all of that, you would decide who you would want to interview, all 5 of them or a different version thereof. Generally, we do those virtually so that we can get them done in a timely manner, and you get a good flavor for how they conduct themselves in that venue. And based on those interviews, we move on to the second part of the formal interview process, which would be kind of a candidate presentation and in-person interviews. Subsequent to that, and the rankings, et cetera, somewhere probably top 2, maybe 3 folks, the request for proposal kind of asks for public participation for transparency. So that would be the next and final part. Again, we don't like candidate names to go out public until they're very far along in the process for their own protection, so to speak, if they have a job, obviously. The transparency part of the process will be some type of interaction or public interaction. And I think we're still kind of nailing down what that's going to be. And so I think that would be maybe chat for a different discussion with you folks about what that would look like. But looking at currently, there will be something happening, and that's built into the timeline. Obviously, you'll have tailored reference checks that the board will have for evaluation points. And then after the board has all of their decision points, at that point, we'll make a decision on who they would like to bring on board as the next administrator and CEO. Next slide. So again, there's a lot of information in that slide, but it parallels the search timeline. Our strategy is, again, it'll be a national recruitment so that we can make sure that there's really no stone left unturned. Obviously, anyone that would be qualified for this role would have to have a significant amount of experience with Native Hawaiian culture and Hawaii. We do passive candidate outreach, so we call it blades of grass. So in other words, we're going to have the postings out in all the right places, but we're also going to do an incredible amount of networking with, I think, a very strong bench that we have with leaders in the Native Hawaiian community, asking them and talking to them. And again, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs has a tremendous reputation in our community for their mission. And we've been very fortunate that pretty much everyone that we ask will take our call and make some time for us as we look for, networking to find great candidates. We have a great database as far as confidential executive candidates that are available. We also work with associations in our outreach. We do what we call industry mapping, trying to get up to speed with where the organization is and who's the right leader for what the organization has looking forward in the next 3 years. Confidential recruiting until that last point, which we would let the candidates know that if they made it that far, there would be a transparent part of the process. And then the other part of it is, since we are honored to represent the Office of Hawaiian Affairs and we know how important your beneficiaries are and your reputation, everyone that we interact with in this process will be treated, just as you would treat them yourselves. We are very proud of that part of our search strategy. Next slide. There is our proposed timeline, and I believe you folks got a hard copy of this so you could read it easier. Is that correct?
Yes, it was uploaded.
Okay, and so just some key points. Sorry, I have to pull my copy because I'm not reading it well. Key there are the dates, particularly for when we come before you again for the first interview. Those dates, we tried to map them to when you folks kind of already meet, or if it was going to be a longer day. So in other words, if you were going to decide to interview, first interviews 5 candidates, we blocked a Monday, say, for that. So you wouldn't have to add that. It's a long day for you folks on top of your other responsibilities. So we tried to incorporate as much as we could in knowledge of your schedules or possible schedules into that search timeline. And I can take questions about that, at the end. Next slide. And these are the general recruiting sources. So Pacific Business News, to get the word out there to the local community, LinkedIn, which gives us both global and national exposure, Indeed, targeted advertising, things like the UH Manoa, et cetera. And of course, our networking to any of the leaders in the community that we think would have great feedback. Next slide. So these are the important parts, and I think one of your beneficiaries was kind enough to bring this up, the minimum qualifications and the desired qualifications. So what we have to be careful here is to make sure that the minimum qualifications are broad enough that it doesn't limit your pool so significantly, but yet the desired qualifications are where you can really weigh in on those things that are going to be just critically important and really beneficial to the organization with what they look at, what you folks want to accomplish in the next 3 years. Competency metrics, and those are things like where we basically say, do they meet these competencies? Are they strong, not strong enough? behavioral-based interview scoring, et cetera. We will assist you folks when it's your time to do the behavioral-based interviews. We'll make sure that you have the proper tools to come up with, numerical ratings. The stakeholder feedback part of the process, and again, we'll fine tune that when it gets a little bit closer to how we'll give the candidates the ability to meet beneficiaries, and then vice versa, the beneficiary feedback. And then references, we will obviously do from formal references to scan of social media, background checks, criminal verifications, et cetera, to make sure that no skeletons in the closet, for lack of a better word. And then last but not least, the board consensus facilitation, how we actually work with you folks to evaluate all this information and data to be able to select the best choice for you all going forward. Next slide. So concerns and constraints, following the timeline is critical. Again, it's not going to be impossible, but definitely important that we stay, within that time frame and being able to accomplish this. Again, we will be getting direction from you folks about, concerns from good candidates about things like the civil beat article, things that you folks talk about today. Stakeholder engagement and transparency. And again, this would be the area, making sure beneficiaries that we appreciate their voice in the process. But again, the trustees are actually the ones that need to select the leadership. Finally, we were just kind of putting some thoughts in here about what the stakeholder feedback structure would look like, because I believe that would be kind of a discussion within itself. Next slide. From us, if you folks are okay with the plan, we would get ready to post the job announcement sooner rather than later. Could be as soon as tomorrow, perhaps Monday. And we would really formally start our recruitment activities, our networking, our setup for being able to screen and discuss and talk with people about this tremendous role and opportunity. And then obviously, from you folks' perspective, meet with you folks over the next week or so individually. So that's the formal part of what we've prepared. So I think we could take a few minutes now and I can answer any questions.
Okay, great. Before we go to questions, Marie, is there anything that Kim would like to add? Because I know she's an integral part of your team. Kim, are you still with us?
Hi, I'm just nice to see you all again, and honored to be working on this search. So thank you.
Okay, great. All right, trustees. So that concludes the staff and contractor presentations. We'll open up for discussion. Trustee Kino.
Thank you, Chair. I have a question for Marie and Kim, and then after that, at an appropriate time for Rizal. Will that be all right?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chair. Marie, Kim, it's always been a delight to work with you, and I thank you for all of the good work you've done for OHA in the past. Appreciate it greatly. Could you highlight what improvements or enhancements you would bring to the process of recruitment this year? And that's not a criticism question. I've really enjoyed working with you, and I know you've made it possible for us to come to good decisions in the past. But as we go forward, what enhancements could we look forward to?
I think one of the key things that we're recommending that I think will enhance this search, and again, the great part about the opportunity with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs is you folks, you're 9 very diverse folks, but you all have a strong passion for the mission of the organization. And so we have utilized in the past, and I think it might be really successful for you folks, kind of a leadership profile. And for those of you that are probably familiar with things like Myers-Briggs or DISC, they're kind of objective evaluations of someone's, specifically the competencies that would be required: financial acumen, leadership predominantly, collaboration, communication. And so we'll be providing that of the final candidates, meaning those going to the second interview, to the presentation component, for the trustees as an additional objective decision-making point for each of the candidates. So we think that that is also going to give you folks a little more depth as you're trying to make this really important decision with things like interviews can be subjective. As we know, someone can be a really great communicator. People's experiences, of course, we don't know all the backstory to the different reasons of why they made their moves. We can get a lot of that information when we do our preliminary screenings, but this kind of formal assessment will, I think, give you trustees an additional pretty strong, valid information about their way of operating, et cetera. It's really done by a professional psychologist, outlined and evaluated. So I think that will give you folks more comfort in your decision-making points. I hope that helps, trustee.
Yes, thank you. That will be helpful.
Trustee Aquino, you wanted to ask Rosella a question? Sure.
Yes, Chair.
Aloha, trustee.
Roselle, thank you for your presentation earlier. I have this question. Should the board decide to postpone the recruitment process of the CEO, what options do we have in order to continue the practice of using an interim CEO? And what time frame do we need to be concerned about?
I don't think there's any true legal guidance as far as time frame. I think there would be an opportunity to continue with the interim CEO. She is functioning without a contract. There would be no active contract for a CEO for the agency. And that would actually land back on your table as far as what board governance or what the board decides to do as far as the leader of the agency. So
it's up to the discretion of the board as to whether we would proceed now with the recruitment process or postpone it till later, and there's no particular legal barrier to postponing it.
I don't think there isn't anything in the EPM or as far as any time frame or legal barriers. However, you do have a fiduciary duty to assure the continuance and consistency of leadership of the agency. So I think you are guided by your fiduciary duties here, and that would be by the consensus of the board.
Indeed, our fiduciary duty could be fulfilled through leadership by an interim. Is that right?
That would be part of the discussion.
Thank you, Roselle.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thanks, Roselle. Yeah. The only point I would add to that is we are also binded by law. HRS Chapter 1010 that says the board shall appoint an administrator. So governance is, statute supersedes governance. Like this board has to appoint an administrator. Absent an administrator after October 31st, we are not meeting our fiduciary duties. It takes 90 to 120 days, as it did in 2023, to go through that lengthy process to find a qualified candidate. So to wait beyond that, I think would put the board in a gray area, also considering we've had an interim since September 23rd of 2025. Anyway. Jeremy, go ahead.
Is there a time limit for the interim to serve?
I can't answer that question. I don't know. I guess General Counsel could answer that.
Again, I think this points out the gray area. The current interim is working without a contract, and that does leave open an open question for the board to actually close. So the one thing that's certain is that the CEO contract ends at the end of October, and that should govern how this board acts.
So, Chair, I just want to use the last appointment as an example. When Sylvia left us, we didn't have anybody, so we moved our chief of staff, like you moved Summer, into the interim.
This board moved Summer.
Yes, well.
By unanimous vote? No. Almost unanimous vote.
Anyway, she was moved
Yeah.
there, and so was Colin in the instance when Sylvia left us, and there was no time period. Yes, we are fiduciarily responsible to appoint, but nowhere in the rules does it say in what time period. So an interim could serve, like, let's say Summer is serving her 9 months, and nobody's, she's still serving us that way. And it can happen too with a new administrator. The reason I bring this up is we have a pending case, and it could hurt the case as a board in adding another retaliation onto that complaint that she may have. So I'm just thinking that perhaps we should defer until her contract runs out. I think that would be safer. Just saying my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Trustees, any other discussion? Yep, Chair Galatero.
Yeah, just to be clear, Trustee Lindsay, there is a chance that you feel this could be categorized as retaliation because we're looking for a leader? Is that what you're submitting?
No, I'm saying we're basically eliminating her. We're eliminating her as a consideration.
Eliminating who?
Our present CEO.
Okay, so I guess I read it wrong because since we're involved in litigation right now, Stacy could not use that as retaliation simply because we're doing our job to find a leader. No, that's not what you say?
No.
Okay, fine. Thank you for clarity.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, the way the board is run today, we have procedures, policies, everything is happening. We have people that come up to our chair here and they talk about transparency. A contract is up. We have to honor this contract. We have to do the right things. But the right thing for me is, like, a contract is very important to the heavy lifting that these people, the amount of work they do. And right now, without a contract, they're not getting paid like a normal CEO. They're doing it. They're doing it with that. I think we had like a policy of 10% raise. That's it. But they're doing the type of work that should be acknowledged with the right pay. And we cannot just allow Summer to just work without a contract. That's not fair to her. And we know today that she's doing a very good job because all I hear is after Summer's speech. So that means everybody heard Summer's speech. So I'm very glad that Summer spoke at the convention. But for me, it's about a contract is ending. We have to do the right thing. We cannot just delay things. We have to honor the contract.
Thanks. Trustee Souza?
Well, Mr. Chair, to Trustee Lindsay's statement earlier, we're not eliminating anyone. I just want to make clear, there's no settlement agreement as far as I know, and I believe Ms. Ferrara is free to apply. If she chooses not to, she'll be eliminating herself. But it's an open application process for anyone at this point, I believe. Mahalo.
Trustee Akaka?
First, I want to mahalo Marie and Kim for the contract and service that you've done for the Office of Foreign Affairs. It's greatly appreciated, and the expertise that you've brought to the table. I also wanted to make note on what was mentioned multiple times, as well as that public announcement regarding a search for another administrator. That was not internally shared ahead of time with all of the board. I was not informed, at least. And it sounds like other trustees as well, and the organization as a whole. So to have that public announcement made in that forum, in that space, as well as on social media, and those finding out whether it's through that announcement, in the news, in social media, by a member of the public, or by a beneficiary, it would have been appreciated that that would have been shared with us internally prior to all this.
Okay, Trustee Hona.
Is Summer our interim CEO?
Yes, sir.
So we have to hire a CEO, right?
You shall.
We don't we?
According to the statute.
Okay, so how come we don't know?
Yes, but however, if a public announcement is made in something such as this, it would be appropriate for internally, for all of the board, as well as our internal organization, to have that heads up prior to, instead of publicly. That's how I found out. It wasn't internally, it was publicly I found out.
For me, the day we made her the interim, I knew we were going to have to find a new CEO.
Yes, however.
That's all I'm trying to say. But it's not like we didn't know. We all knew that we got to hire a CEO. She's interim CEO. She's not the CEO. So how can you not know that we don't have to hire a CEO? I mean,
Look,
how is that
it has
question?
been said in the past and through different meetings that it is unsettling that things are being stated in the news or publicly before it is shared internally.
Trustee Souza.
Madam Mr. Chair, I just want to say to members of the public, the process that we are following, as stated by Roselle, our General Counsel, earlier, was initiated in 2023. That timeline was established by, at that time, Chair Hulu Lindsay. So we're just following exactly what was done in 2023, that 90 to 120 day timeline. And as we all know, if we looked at Stacey Ferrer's contract, it ends on October 31st. So we all should have been anticipating this to come up. As for fiduciaries, we need to understand if we execute a contract, when the contract ends. And we should all it should have been on our radar, whether you heard it on a speech at the Hawaiian Council. I mean, the trustees should have brought it up, period, because we're within that time frame again. And that process we are following, that was started, I've only been through one CEO search here, and that was initiated by Trustee Hulu Lindsay and Kumabe HR, and that timeline was established. So we're doing exactly what this board did before. Just want to make that clear. Mahalo.
Thanks, Trustee Souza. Trustee Kino.
Thank you very much, and to all colleagues for your input. I'd like to go back to a comment regarding I'd basically like to go back and point out that on our agenda today, we have an item in executive session or alternately public session to discuss our participation in mediation.
Trustee Aquino, is what you're about to say germane to this action item?
Yes, it is.
Okay, proceed.
It has to do with the process of recruiting a new CEO and the implication of that. If we go forward with recruiting a new CEO, it could have an impact on what we want to accomplish in mediation, because it could be interpreted as potentially taking one of the negotiables off the table for mediation. I think that we're in a better position for mediation if nothing is taken off the table, if we go in with as many negotiables as we can. That will ultimately benefit the Office of Hawaiian Affairs in mediation. I don't have anything more to say about that with respect to the recruitment process, but I do think that's something we should consider. I would, for that reason, think it might be good to postpone the process of recruitment of a CEO. That's why I asked Roselle the question as to whether we could. What I gather now is that I've not heard that there's any legal reason we couldn't postpone it. Please understand my heart on this. This is not any kind of gambit or trying to put forth a point of view. I genuinely care about the success of our board in this legal matter. And since the board is going to consider mediation, I don't want any action we take, like starting the recruitment process for a new CEO, to take off the table something that could be beneficial to the board and its members. Thank you.
Trustee Aquino, my only reply would be, you know, as you genuinely care about the things you care about, I generally care about our governance.
Yes.
And our governance, through its bylaws, explicitly requires the chairperson to perform such other duties as may be required by law. Law requires this board to appoint an administrator. I would be not doing my job as the chair if I did not bring an action item to this board when we have a contract that is going to expire and leave this board without a permanent CEO on the 1st of November 2026. We can agree to disagree, but I'm doing my job. And our bylaws and statute require me to do that.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate that. That is a fiduciary duty you are fulfilling, and I acknowledge it.
And this board can decide otherwise.
Yes.
But if I didn't bring anything before the board, we'd just be sitting around.
Well, we also have competing fiduciary duties, and we need to balance them together. And that's why we're having this discussion. I'm not denying that you are fulfilling your duty. In fact, you are fulfilling it. What I'm asking is that as we also consider our fiduciary duty to care for the institution and for its beneficiaries, that we realize that there would be an impact, potentially, of moving forward with a timetable for CEO searching if we did it now. And if we have the ability legally to postpone that, we wouldn't be failing in our fiduciary duty of governance. We would simply be pushing it off a bit. I'm just saying, I know that it is important to us because it's on the agenda to be in the best position in mediation. And I'm just suggesting that we not proceed with the schedule we have in mind for CEO recruitment until the open matter is dealt with. It would bring the least prejudice against us, and it would give us the greatest number of negotiables at the mediation table. And it would also potentially allay what has been mentioned earlier, the possibility of being interpreted as retaliating against our CEO.
Okay.
You know, it's so very important that we speak up when we need to speak up, because I know we all discussed a vote to mediation, but there was 4 people who voted against it. And now we're asking for mediation again?
Well, Mr. Chair, Trustee Aquino, so if this lawsuit went on for 2 years, we don't know the timeline. You might have a better idea on the timeline. But if it went on for 2 years, is it okay to have an interim CEO for another 2 years? She was interim since September of 2025. The captain of the ship, so to speak, our administrator, do we feel we're doing that's the best practice on behalf of our beneficiaries? Do we feel that we should continue on that path?
Trustee, I believe that you and I, all of us together, can kuka and come up with what the best practice is with regard to answering a specific question like the one you are putting forth to me.
Right.
There are many kinds of questions that are speculative that you could bring forward.
Right.
And I don't think that it's appropriate for us to be questioning each other in that way.
Right.
Let's keep focused on coming
Right.
up with solutions. And let's work toward that end.
I agree, Trustee Aquino. So if a CEO brings upon a frivolous lawsuit against us as individuals as well as the organization, should we stop operations? I think that's a fair question. Should we just stop what we're doing? You know, let's have an interim, let's just extend it. It's okay, let's just wait to see how this lawsuit plays out. Is that what you're saying? Or do we have a job that we signed up to do on behalf of our people, which we must always remember? We shall hire a CEO. We shall. If we don't go through this process, we're not upholding our fiduciary responsibilities to the best of our ability. And that, I think you and I would agree on.
Absolutely, that we have a shared fiduciary responsibility for governance. And I'll work with you and all members of the board to come up with the best solution. All I'm doing today is suggesting that maybe a certain amount of delay in moving forward could actually benefit our ability to govern. And let's work together on that page.
Yeah, and all I want to end with is that we're going to continue, this leadership team and this board, I would hope, would continue moving forward, holomua, regardless of who sues us, right? Regardless of who sues us. There's been employees, there's been CEOs, right? Contractors. But regardless of that, we have a job to do, Trustee Aquino.
Well, I like the sound of...
And we must, great, I'm not done. We must remember that. And we had this conversation, Trustee Aquino, about fiduciary obligations. And you said the last time it was very unclear as to what your fiduciary obligation is. This is one of them. I just want to point that out. And so I just want to make it clear that for most times we are on the same page. But for this matter, when the law says we shall, we shall. And it shouldn't be questioned because we are doing what we need to do to go through the process, and I believe this is 100% correct. Thank you.
Well, we shall govern and we shall appoint a CEO in due time. I'm just pointing out that, as our council has shared today, we're not restricted to do it immediately. Mahalo.
I guess where we disagree, Trustee Aquino, is that external forces, lawsuits, should grind OHA to a halt in its operational function. And I fundamentally disagree. Lawsuits, external issues will never prevent this board and OHA from continuing to operate and function as it should. I believe we are very fortunate to have an interim CEO of this caliber lead this organization for almost a year now. I think there's many places where our interim CEO could go if she chose to. I have to prepare for the day that I get the phone call and says, I'm taking a job somewhere else. And now we have no CEO. We have a contract that's expiring, and this board will not be meeting its fiduciary duties if we didn't plan for that. Who knows how long these external issues are going to last? Who knows if we can ever get into mediation? Who knows if we can ever get into an executive session, let alone in the next hour in this agenda? I have to plan for all of those things as the chairperson of this board. But at the end of the day, it's at the will of this board and the 9 trustees to decide whether or not this action item should move forward, we should defer, we should just wait.
Well, I agree with you. Tactics and strategy are subject to timing. And you as a military leader would definitely know that. And I'm just trying to engage with you and together help us to find the best and optimal timing. It doesn't mean that we would delay in perpetuity to seek a CEO, but you are aware, as our fellow trustees are, that we're in the midst right now of deliberations that we don't want to in any way harm. And I want us to work together, and I agree with you that we should hold a rule.
Okay. Trustees, any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Ahuna? Aye. Trustee Akaka? Trustee Aquino?
Aole.
Trustee Alapa? Trustee Galuteria?
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay? No. Trustee Souza?
Aye.
Trustee Waihe'e?
Yes.
Chair Kahele?
Aye.
And Trustee Akaka?
Aole.
I have 4 no, and 5 yes.
Thank you, trustees. Let's go find the next CEO for the Office of Foreign Affairs. Mahalo. All right, we're moving on to the next item on our agenda is the executive session. Let me pull up the items. We have two items on the agenda. There's an item A and an item B. I'll read the first two into the record. So item A, the board anticipates convening an exec session meeting pursuant to HRS 925A4 to consult with its legal counsel regarding the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities with respect to matters relating to Stacy Kalohalani Ferreira versus the Office of Foreign Affairs. The consultation will include discussion on participation in mediation, and we have legal counsel here to provide sensitive, privileged legal counsel advice to us to do that in exec session. The second item is item B. The board anticipates convening in an executive session meeting pursuant to HRS 925A2 to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or discipline of an officer or employee where consideration of matters affecting privacy will be involved, provided that if the individual concerned requests an open meeting shall be held, and HRS 925A4 to consult with its legal counsel regarding the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities with respect to matters relating to its financial affairs, employees, and operations. The consultation will include discussion and possible action by the Board of Trustees to waive the attorney work product privilege with regards to the executive summary providing the findings and conclusions of an independent investigative report concerning the Office of Foreign Affairs, Stacy K. Ferreira. And do we have Anna here? Yeah. Anna's there. Okay, great. Trustees, before we consider the motion to enter into exec session, I want to acknowledge what I believe our beneficiaries expect from us. And we actually heard from one of our beneficiaries earlier today. The people that we serve, they're watching this board. They're reading newspaper articles, and they should be. Over the past several months, we have repeatedly spoken about our commitment to transparency, accountability, and good governance. Today is an opportunity to demonstrate that those commitments are more than just words. This institution has endured and continues to endure a very difficult chapter. The Office of Foreign Affairs continues to face litigation, significant legal expenses, settlement demands, and allegations that have exposed both this agency and the trust resources we are sworn to protect. Our beneficiaries are rightly asking for answers, not speculation, not headlines, not op-eds, and not competing narratives, but objective facts. That is precisely why item B, the independent investigation, was commissioned, and its executive summary report is pending release. Our beneficiaries deserve a board willing to examine the facts, deliberate responsibly, and be held accountable for the decisions that we make. They deserve trustees who are willing to engage the investigative findings in a thoughtful and deliberate manner before deciding what information can and should be shared publicly. The executive session before us is not about secrecy. It is about following the legal process that protects the integrity of the investigation, preserves applicable privileges, and allows this board to receive legal advice before acting. Ironically, if we cannot even enter into executive session to receive that advice, we also prevent ourselves from determining what may be properly released to the general public. No trustee is being silenced. Every trustee will have the opportunity to ask difficult questions, debate the findings, express their views, and ultimately vote. That is exactly how good governance is supposed to work. Following that process is not inconsistent with transparency. It is what makes transparency credible. The report itself is a product of an independent, third-party investigation. It was conducted professionally, objectively, and fairly. As with many investigations, some allegations were substantiated and others were not. And still others did not rise to the level of policy violations. That is precisely what an independent investigation is intended to do, to follow the evidence wherever it leads, regardless of whose position it supports. None of us should fear an objective record. If the findings support your position, they speak for themselves. If they support mine, they speak for themselves. Most importantly, they belong in the public record to the fullest extent permitted by law, not because they favor one side or another, but because our beneficiaries deserve an accurate accounting of what occurred. Today is our opportunity to demonstrate institutional maturity, to go into executive session, to follow the advice of our legal counsel, to conduct our deliberations responsibly, and make informed decisions about what information should be released in a manner that protects both the integrity of the institution and the public's right to know. So I'm prepared to do that today, and I hope this board will. The chair will make it a motion to go into executive session pursuant to HRS section 92-5. Do we have any public testimony on the agendized executive session, Lehua?
Yes, we have Jermaine Myers. And then we have one more person online.
2? Okay, great. Welcome, Jermaine. Jermaine, you are recognized for the executive session portion of our agenda.
Mahalo, Chair. Aloha, Honorable Trustees. My name is Jermaine Myers, an OHA beneficiary and longtime advocate. According to today's agenda, the board will consider whether to waive the attorney work product privilege regarding the executive summary of the independent investigative report concerning OHA Administrator Stacey K. Ferreira. Consistent with today's agenda, I offer my data, views, and arguments regarding those matters. Trustees, before we discuss the independent investigative report, I respectfully submit that we should begin with Hawaii Revised Statute, Chapter 10, the laws governing the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Under HRS 10-10, the administrator is the board's one official employee and may be removed only for cause. Only for cause. And only by a 2/3 vote of the board. Because the law requires cause to remove the administrator, it is important for beneficiaries to know who authorized an independent investigation into the administrator and under what authority. The administrator serves the board as a whole, not any individual trustee, not even the chair. For that reason, I believe beneficiaries have a legitimate interest in knowing whether this full board authorized an investigation into its one official employee. I reviewed the public records, agendas, meeting materials, minutes, and videos from July 2025 through this present day. I specifically look for a publicly agendized for action and decision-making item seeking board approval to authorize an independent investigation into Administrator Stacey Kealohalani Ferreira. I also look for a public report out from executive session confirming that this board approves such an action. Based on my review and all the downloaded records of the public records, I have not identified either. Instead, the public record repeatedly refers to an investigation as though it already existed. That unanswered question is why I submitted a UIPA request seeking records identifying who authorized the investigation. OHA withheld those records. The investigation was led by attorney Susan M. Ichinose, according to public records. And on July 10, 2026, plaintiff Stacey Kealohalani Ferreira filed docket number 201 seeking to hold Ms. Ichinose in contempt of court. I recognize the court has not ruled on that motion. I mention it only because it underscores that this investigation has itself become part of the ongoing litigation. Before deciding whether to waive the attorney work product privilege regarding the executive summary, I respectfully ask the board to first answer the governance question before it. Did this full board ever authorize an independent investigation into its one official employee? If so, where is that public board action? Kia kuapu, God bless all of you.
Our next testifier is Ohana Unity Party.
Hello, my Kako, Pikachu Shelby Boner. I thought we were going to get through this agenda really fast. Obviously, we're going through some stuff now. So regarding these agenda items, I'm very concerned with the lawsuit. You definitely got to talk to Jermaine Myers probably on the side because of Sunshine Luck. She's definitely like helping so good to help Stacey, who can't dare defend herself. There's many questions. And as a trustee candidate, I'm concerned even whoever becomes the next trustee, it seems like there's such a cluster fudge because we can see your faces on Zoom, on Facebook, on YouTube, and they killed the public comments because it was getting spicy. I thought we're all working together and there's going to be disciplinary action after this. Are you guys going to spank each other? What's going on? I'm very confused because I can see the frustration on the trustees' faces, male and female, on both sides, on all sides. And it gets zooms up and close and it shows it all. So I'm very concerned for the future, for our future, and for our Lahui. So whatever you guys are going to decide, obviously I can't stop it. But hopefully you guys can, like I said with the military, cook together, clean together, work together. Because if we can't break bread, eat together, it's not going to work out. So I'll keep it short and sweet because this is executive session. Thank you very much. Aloha.
Lehu, anyone else signed up to speak?
No one else has signed up to speak.
Okay, great. Trustee discussion. Trustee Kina.
Mr. Chair, as we enter executive session and deal with both matters that you have listed in the agenda, may I have Counsel John McKay join me?
That it's the will of the board to have anyone in exec session that should not be authorized to be in exec session. So the chair's answer is no, but I'm willing to make an exception if this board deems that necessary. So the answer is no.
Well, I would ask for that exception. I believe that it would enhance our communication. It would allow me to understand all of the issues that are necessary to understand to fulfill my fiduciary duty. And he is appointed by and paid for by our insurance company in order to help us in the matter of the suit that we are facing.
You know, Trustee, the discussions that we have are sensitive discussions, which is the reason why we have exec session. And only individuals that should be part of those privileged conversations and privy to those sensitive conversations and information should be an executive session. And I do not believe Mr. Mackey meets that threshold. I'm also happy to hear anyone else. It's my own personal opinion.
If we have other counsel in whom I'm not fully confident are able to represent my views, I would be at a disadvantage if I did not have counsel as well.
The counsel that is here are counsel that is legally required to be here and attorneys that work for and represent the Office of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Mackey is not. Mr. Mackey represents an insurance carrier, not OHA.
Well, I assure you I am not trying to interfere with the progress that we can make in an executive session. I understand our need to withdraw into executive session in order to get our work done. So I'm not trying to interfere with that at all. I'm just saying that if we could have Mr. Mackey, several of us would no doubt feel far more comfortable in working together, in Kukuiing, to be able to come up with the best solution that we need. And that's what we really need at this time, is to be able to talk freely and in confidence in a way that will come up with a solution to our situation.
If I didn't feel that Mr. Mackey's presence in our executive session was not detrimental to the organization, I would agree with you. But his actions over the past 60 days, and maybe longer, have led me to believe otherwise. I believe his actions have been detrimental to the Office of Foreign Affairs, continue to be detrimental, and his presence in our executive session would be detrimental to the Office of Foreign Affairs. So the answer is no.
Well, I believe that he has contributed to the clarity, the light, the transparency of the matter, and these are values that we should commend him for. But in light of your decision, I would probably vote not to enter executive session. And I don't do that in any way to hinder our work, but out of necessity.
You can continue to believe that, Trustee Aquino. It doesn't make it true. And your withholding of your vote to go into executive session is weaponizing the ability for this board to comply with its statutory requirements that provide us the opportunity to go into exec session. That's the bottom line. Trustee Galatier?
Yeah, just for clarity. Who's paying for Mackie? Who's paying for him? Okay, so our beneficiaries are paying for him, right? That is odd, so very odd. And the beneficiaries should know who's putting this up in front of us, the four of you folks. Okay, they gotta know.
And they have to know that they're putting up for you too.
Of course, we have the council in-house. You brought Mackie from outside, and you're asking the beneficiaries to pay for him? That's unbelievable.
Denton's is outside, Rick. And that's who representing you folks.
No, he's representing OHA.
Yeah, OHA.
John Mackey's not representing OHA.
That should be made clear to the
He's
beneficiaries.
representing individuals, not OHA.
Mr. Mackey does not represent the Office of Foreign Affairs. He does not represent trustees in their official capacity. Mr. Mackey works for an insurance carrier. He does not work for the Office of Foreign Affairs. Denton's, as well as the dozen or so attorneys and legal firms that we contract with, they work for the Office of Foreign Affairs. Denton's is one of those firms. There's a very big difference between Mr. Mackey and his firm and a Denton's law firm.
Mr. Chair, while
There is no contract that exists between the Office of Foreign Affairs and Mr. Mackey's firm. Yes or no?
Mr. Chair.
The answer is no. There is no contract that exists between Mr. Mackey, his firm, and OHA. He does not represent OHA. He does not represent this organization, and he does not represent trustees in their official capacity. Those are facts. I'm sorry you don't like the facts, but those are facts.
Well, he does represent 4 trustees. And it's paid for by the insurance of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs.
Well, Mr. Chair, and we keep going down this road, and if we don't speak up, and I know at the last meeting, members of the public lost faith in this organization. Some of us lost friends, people who believed in us because they saw infighting, continued infighting at the Office of Foreign Affairs, and that's not what I signed up for. That's not what I signed up for, to be here. I spent money to be here, my own funds, to campaign to be here. This is not what I expected. But what I need the public to know is to stand by me when I say that the 4 trustees are using beneficiary money to pay for John Mackey. And at the same time, they're acting as individuals, filing motions that's not authorized by this organization, our own general counsel, our own in-house counsel, our own attorneys that's authorized by this organization to fight on behalf of you guys, our beneficiaries. And I need the public to know that. And I don't know how many times we can say it. It's not good enough. But what I need the public to understand, what's really happening here. John Mackey is trying to dismantle OHA along with 4 other trustees. What the 4 trustees don't like, right? It's personal. They don't like that we're leadership. We go through the process. Everything that we do now is documented. We don't give friends contracts anymore. We don't give friends $5 million anymore. That ended when we took over leadership. You want to talk transparency? People say it and use that word freely on this table. The watchdog. I'm tired of sitting here. I'm tired of sitting here and watching this happen. Frustrating because our hands are tied, because we're going through the process and waiting for judgments and the court to rule on what's happening right now. That's what this leadership team is doing, along with our interim CEO and our general counsel and our attorneys, also in firm that does represent this organization. I'm tired of sitting here and listening to stuff that's false statements by 4 trustees, and it's unfortunate. And I need to say that because if we don't take this opportunity, because you guys are going to prevent us from going into executive session today. and you guys continue to do that. We have a job to do. When we meet with our attorneys and ask them for advice, Trustee Aquino, it should happen in executive session. That's what executive session is for. That's what we agendize it. It's not so that you can sit here and let the members of the public know or throw out false statements so the public hears and they take that and try to control the narrative. Trustee Aquino, I'm tired of you and your 3 trustees and John Mackey trying to control the narrative for this organization. That's not fair to our people. And I'm asking everyone watching, this is a genuine statement. And sometimes we can come across as strong and arrogant, but how do we get the point across? People need to understand what's really going on here at OHA. And we need to stop this. We're not moving forward because of this infighting. And I need it to stop. We're doing such great things. Our committees are doing such great things. We have great leadership. The fact that you don't like that I'm the vice chair or Kai's the chair or you're not the chair anymore, Kaka, and Brick's the chair of the committee and John took over BNF from Alapa because she couldn't do her job. It's personal. It can't be personal. This is business. We run a business on behalf of our beneficiaries, and I need everyone to know that. Chair, thank you for the time. Mahalo.
Sure.
You guys
Mr.
want to
Chair,
say something?
point of order.
Okay, Trustee Aquino, point of order, state the violation of the rule.
The rule is that we have a standard of decorum as to how we should address each other and an expectation that trustees will address issues, not advance arguments that are ad hominem, arguments about the character of individuals or to make allegations such as the accusation of untruthfulness or to make references such as the implication of something, I have no idea what it is, $5 million contracts and so forth. And so all I'm asking is that as my colleagues speak, that you would enforce this decorum and dignity that the board deserves and require that trustees simply address the issue at hand and not lodge any kind of insult to a fellow trustee. That's all. We're not here to bicker with each other. We're here to address issues in a rational manner. My objection is that that's not being done as well as I know you would like to have it done, and I'm asking you to do so in your capacity as chair.
I acknowledge that, Trustee Aquino. And if we could get into executive session, then we could do the business of this organization. Just as we have done many times and just as you have done well before I got here. When is the last time, Trustee Aquino, trustees have denied a 2/3 majority board vote to go into exec session? When can you remember that? Did that ever happen to you, Chair Merida?
No.
No. Trustee Ahona?
We weren't in litigation though. Not once.
My question is, yeah, I want to move ahead, but there's a lot of things that is, yes, being said at the table. One of them is transparency and sunshine law. My question is, how do 4 trustees invite their lawyer into this arena and we don't know about it?
It's an open meeting.
So did you guys meet to get him?
Telephone.
Oh, you guys telephone. Oh.
Yeah.
Mahalo. I share in the sentiment by Trustee Aquino in terms of decorum and asking that you as a chair uphold that when it comes to our fellow trustees and communication with each other on this board table, as the projection, deflection, misinformation, and personal attacks is inappropriate. And I too share in the sentiment that it is unfortunate that our people, as well as the general public, is left to see and hear this. And personal attacks are certainly not appreciated, nor is misinformation stated. And that we speak to the matters at hand. However, when personal attacks and yelling and screaming and accusations are thrown across the table, it is inappropriate. Mahalo.
And sometimes we get questioned with sunshine law. And I just questioning, like, how are you guys doing all of this? You guys are doing what you guys want to do. Great, but it's written right there. You guys are meeting outside of us.
You guys making decisions on the board.
We are all upheld to the Sunshine Law. So yes, we can only have one trustee at a time or two trustees, no more than two trustees speaking. We are all upheld to that. However, misinformation to make that accusation is also inappropriate. Mahalo.
But you guys are making that, you guys are making your statement. You're not, you don't want him
Trustee
in?
Aquino. Yeah,
Ole.
Trustee Ono. Trustee Akaka, the fact of the matter is the four of you answered and filed a legal answer in court. It is impossible for you to do that without serial communications. The Office of Information Practices have advised our general counsel that you are in violation of the state sunshine law. Period.
Yes.
It's impossible. It's impossible for four of you to sign on to a legal answer without talking.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Aquino?
thank you very much. Respectfully, the issue you're bringing up is not on the agenda. We're not here in neither executive session, which we're not in, nor public session, to be raising allegations that have been made in court. And so that's something that I would appreciate my colleagues not questioning the other trustees about. I would like to go back to a question that was raised by Trustee Ahuna. How did we get counsel and Trustee Brickwood? Because I believe they were present. And without revealing details of executive session, I would just generally say that from the beginning, we have looked to Dentons as representatives of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, counsel to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs in the matter of Ferreira versus OHA. And continue to look to Dentons because I am a member of the Board of Trustees, and as a member of the Board of Trustees, am a defendant in the case that is brought by Ms. Ferreira. But from the beginning, the very beginning, Dentons and all of you were present and have been aware that I have had views that I don't think could have been represented by Dentons fully, and availed myself of something the Office of Hawaiian Affairs has approved, and that is access to an attorney paid for by insurance, paid for by the Office of Hawaiian Affairs for this very purpose. It's completely legitimate. It's something all trustees witnessed or were aware of or have had access to in terms of minutes of meetings. Nothing illegitimate about that. And I think that's important to get out to the public, that this is not a case of rogue trustees going out and engaging a third-party attorney. In fact, we have done simply what is afforded to us as trustees and state government officials, for which insurance is paid, and it's something that protects every one of you. It's a privilege every one of you has. And it was never objected to, not at all, by any of you at the table. So today, to feign that there's something illegitimate about Mr. Mackey's presence is completely untrue. And that my request that he join us is not only something that would benefit myself and all of us together, I believe, but is something that would make use of the funding that OHA has made available in order to have him as a resource. So I'll ask just one last time, because I don't want to frustrate going into executive session. May we have Mr. Mackey join us?
Can I say something?
I agree with everything you just said, except what you conveniently left out was that when you were dropped in your individual capacity, Mr. Mackey's representation ended. He no longer represents OHA in our official capacity. So yes, we all agreed that you could have independent representation in your individual capacity. But when the plaintiff dropped her claim against you personally in your individual capacity, then that ended. Furthermore, the collusion with the plaintiff and the filing of a legal answer by the four of you that had scathing allegations and scathing personal attacks filed in court and I'll just stop there.
That would be appropriate.
We need to get
for you
into
stop there,
executive
Mr.
session,
Chair.
and Mr. Mackey does not represent the Office of Foreign Affairs nor this board in court. And so our opportunity to have conversations and access to privileged sensitive information with our legal counsel is what we're asking for.
I agree that Mr. Mackey is not the representative of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs when it comes to Ferreira versus OHA. I have no disagreement with that. We've never had that. In fact, I have never thought that I myself represent the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. I've never thought nor stated that 4 trustees represent the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. We represent our duty to speak out as individual trustees. And you have that right as well. Every one of the trustees has that. And so that's a non-issue. The issue is that Mr. Mackey has legitimate standing in our presence to the extent that you have access to the same kind of attorney assistance if necessary. And it's a provision that was made available to allow us as trustees to exercise our fiduciary duty. Sometimes that fiduciary duty goes beyond being loyal to the board. It sometimes calls us to differ with the board because we're the only people who can do that. And that's the context in which we are taking advantage of this resource. So again, Mr. Chair, I'll ask you, knowing that Mr. Mackey is sworn to confidentiality, he would be willing, if he hasn't done so already, to sign an additional non-disclosure agreement and so forth. But knowing that that would allow us to go into executive session, it would give confidence to some of the trustees to be able to engage you and our other attorneys in productive conversation. Given all of that, I respectfully request that we be able to bring Mr. Mackey into executive session.
That's denied. Any other trustees? Roll call vote.
Trustee Ahuna?
Yes.
Trustee Akaka? Trustee Akina?
Respectfully, Aole.
Trustee Alapa? No. Trustee Lindsay? No. Trustee Galuteria? Trustee Souza?
Aye.
Trustee Waihe'e?
Yes.
Chair Kahele?
Aye.
We have 5 yes votes, 4 no votes.
Okay, let the record be known that this Board of Trustees has not been able to go into executive session because we have been obstructed by 4 trustees who have denied the opportunity for us to have sensitive, privileged conversations. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is new business, which would be item A, legal matters, discussion and possible board action regarding non-privileged matters relating to mediation and Stacey Kealoha Forever versus the Office of Foreign Affairs. The chair would like to now call up Paul Alston, Board Counsel for the Office of Foreign Affairs, to brief the board on item matter A under legal matters. And before we do that, Paul, do we have any testimony on item A for new business?
Yes, we have Jermaine Myers.
Sorry about that, Paul. Jermaine, welcome.
Aloha. Thank you, Chair.
New business. Continue.
Mahalo. Aloha, Honorable Trustees.
Aloha.
My name is Jermaine Myers. I am an OHA beneficiary and a longtime advocate. Today's agenda includes possible board action regarding mediation in the lawsuit brought by Administrator Stacy Kealohalani Ferreira against OHA. As a beneficiary, I respectfully ask the board to consider not only what is legally permissible, but what best serves the long-term interests of the Native Hawaiian beneficiaries you were elected to serve. I recognize that the board may vote to support mediation as one possible litigation strategy. However, I respectfully believe this case has grown beyond a typical employment dispute. This lawsuit raises fundamental questions related to the proper relationship between the Board of Trustees and the administrator, and whether an administrator can raise concerns regarding ethics, sunshine law compliance, fiduciary obligations, and board governance without fear of retaliation. Those questions affect far more than one employee. They affect every future administrator and every employee of OHA who may someday witness conduct they sincerely believe is unlawful or inconsistent with their professional or ethical responsibilities. If those individuals believe speaking up could jeopardize their career, OHA loses one of its most important safeguards to protect our public trust: its employees. Without employees who feel safe raising legitimate concerns, transparency gives way to fear, and the confidence of beneficiaries and the public inevitably suffers. While mediation may resolve this litigation, it may not resolve the underlying governance issues that gave rise to it. As a beneficiary, I believe a transparent judicial process with a jury deciding the jury triable claims and the court deciding the remaining legal and equitable issues has the potential to establish facts, clarify responsibilities, and create a public record from which future boards, future administrators, future employees, and future beneficiaries can learn valuable lessons regardless of the outcome. Today's decision should therefore be guided by one question: what best protects the integrity of OHA, not only today, but for the next generation? My concern is larger than one lawsuit. I am thinking about the next administrator and the one after that. I'm thinking about future employees who may someday face the difficult decision of whether to report conduct they believe violates the law or breaches fiduciary duty. Those employees should never have to wonder whether doing the right thing will cost them their career. OHA should be an organization where integrity is protected, where fiduciary duty is honored, and where those entrusted to execute the work of OHA can fulfill their responsibilities without fear of retaliation. That, in my opinion, is how this board best serves the Native Hawaiian beneficiaries. I respectfully ask each of you to think not only about resolving today's lawsuit, but about the precedent your decisions and your discussions will leave for tomorrow's employees of OHA. Kia kuapu, God bless all of you.
Lehua, next SFR.
Hello, it's me again. Shelby Gunner. I am back. Wow. I thought you guys were going to close the cameras off. I can see all your wonderful, beautiful faces. Didn't think you were going to argue. I thought you guys were going to go into, because 5 versus 4, I guess it's open to the public. It's very confusing because I can hear, I don't want to say names, but I can hear the opposition 5 versus 4. You know what I mean? And I didn't know until today that they did use them through the insurance through OHA. I just found out today because it's not really explained. And when you look at the lawsuit, talking about whistleblower retaliation, and we'll just say allegations because we don't want to name nobody because of sunshine law and everyone's getting pishy-poshy. So it's very hard for for me, as a younger generations, younger than all of you, to believe that we have a chance and a hope. Because if we can't even break bread together, have lunch together, follow the path of Jesus and whoever you believe in, because I feel like somebody would poison each other's food. Even though I invite you to Burger King, I don't feel like we could all have a get along time. And obviously, you can't do it all together because of the rules. So it is very confusing. So you guys do have certain points, like the chair says, and you have fiduciary responsibility to the beneficiaries, not to the CEO, not to the new leader, not to Donald Trump. It's supposed to be for the benefit of the future, your keiki and kapuna for the ohana. So I want to bring it back to, it's supposed to come from the heart. The pu'uvai, aloha, HRS 5-75, the law, akahai, lokahi, olu olu, haha, and aho nui. When people ask me what is OHA, they don't even know what OHA does. So I have to tell them ohana, hope, and aloha as a joke. So I want you guys to take that in, and whatever you guys are going to do, I know you guys are going to do it, but try to feel it with your heart. That's all I ask. Ask for some compassion like the Dalai Lama, and try to figure it out together. Lokahi. Thank you very much. Aloha.
Mahalo. Lehu, anyone else?
There is no one else signed up to speak.
Okay, great. At this time now, we'll call up Paul with the Denton's firm to provide any background on this item on our agenda. Hey, Paul.
Good morning. You'll remember, I know that you were unanimously supported the idea of going into mediation. There's been no significant progress, thank you, toward that yet, but I think it's important to plan for the opportunity to mediate if it materializes. And I believe Kapono has some suggestion about how best to see that OHA is able to proceed with the mediation without incurring or without creating sunshine law issues. Other than that, I have nothing.
Thanks, Paul. Kapono? Did you have your hand up, Trustee Kina?
I did.
Okay. Are you okay if you speak after Kapono?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. So in order to avoid sunshine and in order to avoid the entire nature of having to create different entities and go back and forth, the best thing the board can do is appoint two people. Just vote on two people that are going to represent OHA in the mediation. So generally, two trustees. So you want to limit it to that. That way there's no violation under sunshine or under your docs.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
That's all. Simple, straight ahead vote.
Okay. Okay, Trustee Kina.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate this. Thank you, Chair. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. I just want to say, and I actually had planned to say this before our attorneys came up and briefed us, I want to work with you to have a successful session right now, to see that we accomplish something productive needed for our case, but also to ensure that nothing that is attorney-client privileged or confidential or privileged before the board is inappropriately shared. And therefore, I would appreciate your word of wisdom, your mana'o to the board as chair, as to the decorum and the limits that are necessary for us to have this session in public, broadcast, recorded, and distributed. Mindful of that.
Trustee Akin, I think that changed when yourself, along with the other four trustees in your official and personal capacities, filed a legal answer to her complaint that was full of allegations and personal attacks to the other members of this board without board approval. That's the problem we're in. We didn't cause that. You decided to do that. And that's public record.
Chair, I'm not going to retaliate and go into a battle of blame. I'm just saying that here we are in front of our beneficiaries and the public, and I look to you for your leadership in maintaining the proper decorum today, and I commit myself to that as well. That's the only point I wanted to make, and then I have.
Okay.
I would like to ask
Your actions have complicated things.
Thank you.
You can say what you want to say, but your actions, Trustee Aquino, have complicated things tremendously for this board and this organization, intentionally and deliberately. Trustee Ahuna?
Whenever let me know the updates too? Because it seems like only you guys getting the updates. So that's why I want to be included too, but I'm not being included, so.
So the item on the agenda is to address the mediation, which, from my understanding, you're supportive of. Mediation.
And Mr.
By a
I'll
nine,
respond.
by a 9-0 vote, this board voted to enter mediation. And our legal counsel has advised us to prepare for that mediation. We need to designate 2 trustees, so we don't violate the Sunshine Law, to be able to be a part of that mediation. Seems pretty simple to me. That's what is the agendized item that legal counsel, who will represent us in mediation, is asking us to do. Trustee Kino.
I'm glad that Mr. Alstrom came today and reminded us that we have already voted to affirm mediation as an avenue that he has before him in representing OHA in this case. I affirm my support of that and have earlier today spoken of making sure that we are not sending signals that are cross-purposed with that, and we do our best to keep as many negotiables on the table as possible in order to succeed in the mediation. I personally also believe that avoiding going into trial would be of greater benefit to the beneficiaries, to the parties involved, to the plaintiff and the defendants. And so I just want you to know that I support that. I do think that if we do go into mediation, it's important for us to have high integrity, to provide documents that are discoverable and likely to be used by OHA in its defense to the other party, to share with her attorneys, and include the investigative report.
Your sworn legal answer has tremendously affected the mediation and has put this organization at a disadvantage, this agency. That's not just us having spirited conversations at the table. That is a legal answer that you filed that attempts to give away the farm for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. So contrary to your candor and demeanor and the things you say at this table, your actions speak otherwise and will make it difficult if we can ever get into mediation.
Mr. Chair.
And that didn't have to happen. This board voted to go into mediation. Our legal teams were working to negotiate that mediation under certain grounds, and you decided to file a legal answer.
Mr. Chair, the agendized topic is not whether allegations that we've made to each other.
Well, you just talked about the highest level of integrity into mediation.
I would be more than glad to begin addressing some of the detail of this if in executive session and with counsel present, we could have this conversation. But I'm not going to talk about allegations made by you or by myself in public.
You don't have to, you already filed them.
It's over. It's over here, Trustee.
So let's stick to the agenda and the action items, which is matters relating to mediation. Our legal counsel has advised us to prepare for mediation. We should have 2 trustees be a part of that mediation. Do we have a motion? The chair's recommendation is going to be that Vice Chair Souza and Trustee Galutaria be the 2 trustees that represent the Board of Trustees in mediation in the matter relating to Stacy Kealohalani Ferrer versus the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. We'll prepare the motion for board action. While the motion is coming up, do we have any discussion on that?
Yes.
Trustee Kino.
I'm waiting to see the motion and then I'd like to discuss it.
The motion will be that the chair moves to appoint trustees Galutaria and Souza to represent the Office of Hawaiian Affairs in any mediation in the matter of Stacy Kealohalani Ferrer versus the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. That's the motion.
My question, I don't know if this should be for the attorney or for you. It is, in the construction of this motion, I see that, and this is the first time I've seen this, that we have identified trustees Galateria and Souza to represent OHA. Could someone tell me what role they would play in the mediation?
Sure.
And
Let's invite Paul up.
good.
Who will be the lead negotiator in the mediation.
And along with that, why they would be the best choice in order to have a successful outcome. Of course, that would need for us to keep in mind what the outcome of the mediation is that we want. I would assume that once we define the outcome of the mediation, we would then be able to identify which trustees would be best in order to bring about that outcome. And I recognize that this is a different choice of trustees than had been proffered earlier.
I don't understand. Thank you. I don't believe there's any suggestion that the two trustees who are designated to participate would have any decision-making authority. They would be designated to participate, hear proposals, and then report back to the full board.
Right.
So that the full board can make decisions about what would be done. It's simply a question of who's going to be there to engage in the mediation process, and then, responsible for returning and reporting faithfully on what was said and discussed, but not agreed to, because they won't have any authority to make decisions. I think that's the suggestion.
Yep.
Capono is nodding yes.
So, Paul, then, the role of these trustees would be as observers, and then they would come back to the board and report.
I think it's more than observers. I mean, the mediation process involves discussion as well as observing. So I think they would be empowered to participate and express the views of the board, but not make any decisions about terms for settlement.
Right.
Good.
Thank you.
Does that answer your questions, Trustee Aquino?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Yes.
Aole.
I need Trustee Aquina,
Respectfully, Aole.
Trustee Alapa, Trustee Galuteria,
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay. She's not here. Trustee Souza,
Aye.
Trustee Waihe'e,
Yes.
Chair Kahele.
Aye.
You have 5 yes votes, 3 noes.
Okay, we're moving on to item number B, legal matters. This is discussion regarding non-privileged matters relating to the investigation and executive summary of the findings and conclusions of an independent investigation report concerning the Office of Foreign Affairs versus Stacy Ferreira. Lehua, do you have anyone signed up to speak on this item?
Yes, I have Jermaine Myers.
Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay.
Yes, we have one more person online.
Okay, great. Jermaine is, she's still here? Yeah, Jermaine's here. She is recognized. Welcome, Jermaine.
Mahalo, Chair. Aloha, Honorable Trustees.
Aloha.
My name is Jermaine Myers, an OHA beneficiary and longtime advocate. Today's agenda concerns the independent investigative report regarding Administrator Stacy K. Ferreira. I wish to address the transparency of that investigation and my UIPA requests because both are directly relevant to your discussion today. On May 28, 2026, I submitted a UIPA request seeking the complete investigation report, supporting evidence, witness statements, procurement records, the investigator's contract, the total cost of the investigation, and records identifying who authorized the investigation. OHA withheld the investigation report in its entirety, along with the supporting evidence, witness statements, findings, conclusions, records identifying the allegations investigated, and records identifying who authorized the investigation. Under Hawaii Revised Statutes 10-10, the administrator is the board's 1, official employee and may be removed only for cause and only by a 2/3 vote of the board. In reviewing board agendas and minutes, as I shared earlier, I have not found any public record showing that this full board authorized an independent investigation of Administrator Stacy K. Ferreira or authorized the expenditure of OHA funds for that investigation. If such board action exists, I respectfully ask that it be identified, because it wasn't identified through my UIPA requests. As a beneficiary, I simply wanted to know who authorized the investigation, under what authority, and how public funds were approved. Instead, those records were withheld. OHA also stated that it does not maintain the procurement records. It doesn't maintain it relating to the investigator. I was then informed that I must pay an estimated $161.50, including an $81.50 prepayment, before OHA will process the limited records that may be disclosed. From what I can tell, I am essentially being asked to pay more than $160 primarily for redacted cost records, while the investigation report and all the procurement records itself remains withheld from me as an OHA beneficiary. As I previously shared, the lead investigator was attorney Susan M. Ichinose. And on July 10, 2026, plaintiff Stacy K. Ferrell filed docket number 201 titled Motion to Find Susan M. Ichinose Esquire in Contempt of Court. I recognize the court has not ruled on that motion. Nevertheless, it demonstrates that the conduct of the lead investigator has itself become an issue in this litigation. I respectfully ask, why is my UIPA being denied? Why doesn't anyone else say who approved the investigation? Why doesn't records want to be made available? We are being asked to place confidence in an investigation report that beneficiaries have been denied the opportunity to examine. Without access to the report or its supporting evidence, we cannot independently evaluate whether the investigation was fair, thorough, and impartial. I respectfully ask this board to proceed with transparency, fairness, and great caution as you consider matters relating to this investigation, and tell us beneficiaries why the UIPA request was denied and the reports and who authorized this investigation. Why was that denied? Kia kuapu, God bless all of you.
Lehua, next testifier, please.
Our next testifier is Ohana Unity Party.
It's me again, Pikachu Shelby Benner. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because the general public wants to know, how did this all start in the first place? It's very confusing for the younger generations, people just jumping on Facebook, social media. We have no idea what created this division. You know, whatever the pie, if you can't go back together, how are we going to mold this together to make some beef stew, pot luau or something? So I hope you guys can figure this out together, because we're seeing the back and forth and you guys aren't agreeing with each other. I'm not going to go into the lawsuit or allegation. You don't hear me 5 minutes complain about that stuff. It's already in the black and white. But I want to know what caused it in the first place. What is the source? And there's no paperwork when Jermaine Myers is asking for it, and we're from the West Side. I feel like some people are trying to play like we're dumb. We don't know nothing. We can't use AI. We can't figure stuff out. We can read. We got black and white. Hooked on Phonics worked to me. So what's really the core heart of the issue? Obviously, there's trust. There's whistleblower allegations, and you guys aren't getting along. All I gotta say, you guys gotta figure it out and set a better example. Because with me trying to be a trustee, it puts me to shame. Like, why would I want to be one of like you guys if we're going to get sued? As soon as we get it, we're going to be dealing with lawsuits, new CEO, new leadership. Your expenses are more monthly than the trustees get paid. And that's what, it's very confusing. So I hope you guys can figure this out. Mahalo, God bless.
Lehua, any other testifiers?
No other testifiers.
Okay, so we have item number B, legal matters. This is a discussion regarding non-privileged matters relating to the investigation and exec summary of the findings and conclusions of an independent investigative report concerning the Office of Foreign Affairs. Chair, I'd like to call up Anna of ESNA, one of the board's authorized attorneys, to act on its behalf concerning human resources issues. Hi, Anna.
Right.
Welcome.
Welcome. So, I'm here to give you information, not opinion, because we're in public session. So you can ask me a question.
I guess I'll start. You know, we have a investigation that was triggered last year. That investigation ran its course, like all other employee investigations do in various other agencies. And that investigation, which your firm handled, came to a conclusion several months ago. It had a final report, its conclusions and facts and summary. That report was presented to the board. It was adopted by the Office of Foreign Affairs in its entirety, and that investigation is now closed. I would say the work product, in my review, was very above board, was objective, it was fair, and it now deserves to be in the public space. Because it was a legitimate investigation. It did have legitimate findings. At the end of the day, we have room for a difference of opinion, but facts are facts, and that is the record that this organization, this agency, has adopted in its final report. We would like to publicly release it. There's issues with that, right? Confidentiality, witnesses, work-client privilege, executive privilege. We had hoped to have this discussion in executive session, which would be the appropriate place for this, but we were obstructed from doing that by some of our fellow trustees, so we have to have this in open session because this chair is committed to continuing this agency's business regardless of the obstructions that are put in front of it. And so I would like to now ask you, how do we attempt to go through the process we need to do, this board needs to do, to meet some of the UIPA requests that people like Jermaine have asked for, media has asked for. Of course, this will also be adjudicated in the judicial system, but what does this board need to do to meet its fiduciary obligations concerning at least a redacted version of the executive summary report that can give the general public some insight into what this board has been dealing with for the last 10 months.
So,
Trustee Kina?
Mr. Chair, I have a question, and you may allow me to answer, ask it now or after.
Sure, let's let Anna.
Okay, but my question, I would appreciate being able to ask before any discussion is allowed on this subject.
Sure, okay.
Thank you.
Fair enough, yeah.
oh, okay. If we're talking about a summary that is redacted of all the confidential information, there are two procedures that I can tell you that exist. One, the board, in a unanimous vote, would be able to waive, to basically release that, but you could only release the things that are not protected by UIPA. There's federal and state law things in there, and you also probably need to discuss in executive session because the full report is covered by attorney-client privilege.
Sure.
The executive summary is a document which would, once you take out the portions that are UIPA and attorney-client privilege, what you have left is something covered by work product doctrine. You can release that again, specifically for that document, for a unanimous decision, or alternatively, you can leave it to the court under Hawaii Rules of Civil Procedure 26B. So those are the two ways. Either the board agrees to release the redacted version of the executive summary, taking out all the attorney impressions, or you let the court figure out what to do.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, we have an executive summary. Because of the sensitive nature of the contents of the executive summary, we would discuss that in executive session.
Right.
Otherwise, we would violate the state sunshine law in serial communications because the privileged sensitive content of the executive summary would be something that under any normal circumstance you would discuss in exec session.
Right.
Okay, and if we got to the point where we could waive the work product privilege, redact specific things that are either WIPA or state federal law, witnesses.
Right.
We came to an agreement that would require unanimous consent to publicly release the document. Unanimous vote.
Right.
Yeah, not consent, I'm sorry.
Vote.
Unanimous vote. Every trustee would need to agree for us to be able to publicly release this by waiving the work client privilege, properly redacting it, going through it, and we would do that in exec session.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Trustee Kino.
Thank you. With respect to your final statement.
What
are we
statement?
talking-
It's the one I just made now?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we talking about the executive summary requiring unanimous
Yeah.
agreement
Yes.
for release?
Right. Or it can, the other alternative I
Be
said
ordered
is
by the court.
it'd be, the court would make the decision.
Okay. Well, on the record, I want to say that our CEO's contract requires that the investigation be treated as confidential and discussed only in executive session. So I would object to any discussion of this report, including the executive summary, during open session. And I cite the employment contract, section 8A. The investigation shall be treated as confidential and discussed only in executive meeting of the board under IRS section 92-5A2. Releasing the executive summary publicly would, in my view, violate this requirement of the CEO's contract. And it would also result in further legal exposure in our litigation. And I don't want us as a corporate body to suffer in this way, and neither do I want our CEO. If it is only a summary of the findings, some of which are adverse to our CEO, but would provide no context that would allow her or her attorneys or the general public to assess whether those conclusions were reached through a thorough, competent investigation or not. And releasing just the executive summary would threaten potentially serious further harm to the CEO's professional reputation. And so it may be construed as a further retaliation against her. That would not be beneficial to the process. And I think it's something we shouldn't do. So I want to ask that we not discuss this investigation in open session.
The only problem with that is the Hawaii Supreme Court says we have to.
We can discuss.
When this contract was issued, the Hawaii Supreme Court had not rendered their decision on matters like this, most notably the Kealoha lawsuit, the city and county of Honolulu. So our contract, that is almost 4 years old now, does not comply with a Supreme Court decision of the state of Hawaii. Anna, can you clarify that?
You're asking me for the opinion that we would have to go into executive session so I could address your concerns. Again, that's asking me for advice. So we're either going to go into executive session so we could discuss it, or I just gave you the answer, either the court or you vote.
And we can't go into executive session because we already voted that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we got to wait another 6 days if we want to go into exec session. Trustee Wahe?
She decided to waive her confidentiality or privilege because maybe she wants to see it that badly or whatever. Could we release it if she allowed us to?
She as one state employee, this is, I'm just pointing you guys to the facts, can under UIPA waive with respect to her information that she provided. She cannot waive for everybody else. Mm. No, that's it.
No, other than to affirm that this discussion of the investigative report would need to take place in executive session, and that this is the reason I have asked us to do it in executive session and wish to bring counsel, because there are questions, as was apparent on the table today, to which we need advice legally. So I want to make it clear, I'm not obstructing us having this conversation or moving into executive session. I have provided a pathway for us to do it so that we can all have confidence in executive session that we have the legal advice necessary.
Did you know you voted not to go into executive session? I just want to make it clear. Did you know that?
I know clearly how I voted,
Okay.
trustee, and I also know that I'm the one who is offering that we go into executive session along with representative counsel. So thank you.
So your vote to go into executive session is conditional, which never, ever happened under the previous chair's tenure.
I've made it clear that I would like to have counsel with me in executive session. I don't think that's been unclear.
OHA counsel will be present. OHA counsel will be present.
Counsel will be present, yes.
I think the record has answered this.
This board, and at least I believe the majority, whatever that means, would like the public release of this investigative report. I appreciate your call for transparency, for accountability. We want to do that. We're ready to release this public report. But we have certain constraints to do that. We have protecting people that were part of the investigation, protecting the investigator, protecting this board. But that requires a very high bar, unanimous vote. So whether we got into executive session or not, your participation was still conditional on the fact that requiring a unanimous vote only then would allow the public release of the report. So getting into executive session is one thing that was obstructed. And then finally, you still had another card to play, which was you can withhold your vote from letting people like Jermaine read the report.
Well, Mr. Chair,
I'm pretty confident that a majority of this board, at least a simple majority, is ready to release the report. I want to release the report. Trustee Hona?
I just feel we're reckless on this board, and I'm worried. I'm worried for the other three trustees. I am. You make sure you understand what I'm saying, because you're threatening us. You're telling, I want to do this, but I have to do this first. You need to be careful, because right now it's these three, they have no idea what is happening right here with this issue. And I'm worried, because everything you say is just like something that you voted against. And every time you vote against, you come to this board table and you say, I want to do this. I want to go into executive. But you just voted no. And you keep doing this over and over and over. And I don't hear from none of these guys. I'm worried. When I say you four are talking together, I don't get any of the communications from you guys. You guys never called me one time to ask me if you want him inside here. How come you guys are not communicating with me? I don't feel like I'm being communicated to. So you are together then? Wow, thank you for saying that.
Okay, sorry, Trustee Aquino, go ahead.
Thank you. So
Follow us.
I think it's important for us to realize that there's a good reason that a report, a disciplinary, or an investigative report should be held in confidence. there are people who could be hurt by its release. And I'm not talking about only one side of one party. And I think that's why we should honor the contractual obligation we have to the CEO to discuss this in private. Now, on top of that, I would add that I don't think that I fall within the group you refer to as eager to release this report to the public. I've had the opportunity to read the entire report cover to cover. I've had the opportunity to read the executive summary. And I can't say that I am confident that it is sufficiently truthful to put out to the public. And therefore, in my conscience, I could not do so. And I would like to encourage all trustees to read the full report cover to cover and use your best faculties in terms of reason, and even consult with counsel confidentially if you need to, in order to come up with a conclusion. So I'm not trying to interfere with anything. I'm trying to honor what we need to honor to carry out our fiduciary duty. What I am concerned about is the strong push to release this document which could be harmful not only to the CEO, but to others as well, and which doesn't have the confidence and backing of the full board. That's my concern, why that is something being pushed. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Part of the reason it's being pushed, to my understanding, Trustee Kina, is because it's required for mediation, which you support. Our legal team can't release the report to their legal team without this board's action.
May I ask a question? What prevents us from providing the investigative report directly to the plaintiff, CEO Stacy, and her attorneys, and requesting complete confidentiality? What
In its
prevents
fully
us?
unredacted form?
Well,
the protection of witnesses.
I'm not saying that it has to be unredacted. I'm just saying what requires us not to do it. My understanding is that it has been requested, and it is not something that has been provided to Stacy Ferreira herself, the investigative report upon her. And so I'm not objecting to that. Please don't characterize me as objecting to that.
In order for us to proceed with mediation, we need to provide the investigative report to the opposing side. We cannot do that without board counsel, without board action. That was what legal counsel has advised us. Now, there's certain things we can do to potentially publicly release a portion of that, and that's what Anna has advised us of. Clearly, there's a disagreement on this board. We're not going to publicly release the report. Ultimately, maybe the judiciary, a judge will mandate its public release. Then I'm sure you'll oppose that, and that's okay.
No, not necessarily. I'll think that through. What I want to point out today is that publicly releasing the report is different from giving the report directly to the one it's about, the CEO, and her attorneys. I'm not standing against that. Don't characterize me as standing against that, because if you say that's necessary for mediation, I'm open to that. And that falls short of what has been discussed here today, which is the public disclosure to the public of this document. So, Mr. Chair, are you suggesting that we could withhold distributing this to the public and yet give it to the attorneys and Stacy Ferreira herself, I mean, her attorneys I'm referring to?
Well, I would love to answer that question in exec session with our attorneys. Unfortunately, you didn't allow us to do that. Anna, do you have anything else to add to this, Brown and Round? Yeah. And we cannot go into exec session. So, Chair is going to table item B on this matter, but thank you so much for advising the board of what is required to be able to publicly release the investigative report to meet some of the requests that have been asked by the general public, opposing counsel, our beneficiaries, et cetera. Thanks, Anna. Appreciate it. Okay, last item on the agenda is community concerns and celebrations.
Mr.
Do we have
Chair,
anyone?
If
Trustee Kino.
if I may just have 30 seconds. Thank you. Just for the record, I'd like to clarify that my earlier vote on whether we should go into mediation is not in opposition to mediation. I voted no because of the specific proposal of who to have represent OHA in the mediation, that's all. I've made it clear that I would support mediation. Thank you.
Yes, we know that. No.
I voted yes to go into mediation, just so we can talk about confidential things into mediation. Thank you.
Okay, we are on the last item of our agenda, community concerns and celebrations. Do we have anyone signed up to speak on community concerns and celebrations, Lehua?
Yes, we have Jermaine Myers.
Welcome, Jermaine. Hi, Jermaine. Thanks for joining us today.
Mahalo, mahalo, Chair. Aloha, Honorable Trustees. My name is Jermaine Myers. I am an OHA beneficiary and a longtime advocate. Today, I wish to raise a community concern regarding OHA's military lease lands initiative. This initiative was not part of the Biennium budget approved by the board on June 30th, 2025. Instead, funding was later added through budget realignments and has now grown to approximately $500,000. As a beneficiary, I simply want to understand why this initiative expanded, what work was authorized, and what measurable value OHA has provided for that investment. On April 1, 2024, the state established a Military and Community Relations Office, or MACRO, within DBED. It is fully federally funded and serves as the state's primary liaison with the U.S. Department of Defense. On November 13, 2025, Governor Josh Green established a Native Hawaiian Advisory Committee on Military Lease Lands to advise him on the Army leases that expire in 2029. OHA's interim administrator, Summer Silva, was appointed to serve on that advisory committee. According to the governor's public records, the Native Hawaiian Advisory Committee has met 4 times. Minutes are posted, most recently in February 2026. The Army has also publicly acknowledged its environmental cleanup responsibilities. It's all in writing. So my question is simple. If the state already has MACRO serving as its liaison with the Department of Defense, if the governor already has a Native Hawaiian Advisory Committee working on these lease issues, and if the Army has already acknowledged its cleanup kuleana, what specific objectives is OHA accomplishing through its separate $500,000 initiative, and what measurable outcomes have beneficiaries received? OHA has a fiduciary responsibility to demonstrate not only that trust funds are being spent, but what results those expenditures are producing. Before I close, I want to make one point very clear. I support a strong partnership between Hawaii and our United States military. I believe our service members should be able to train on military lands so they remain prepared to defend our nation, but most importantly, our little islands. History reminds us that Hawaii is not immune from an attack. That's the difference in practice. Pearl Harbor and September 11 reminds us that threats can arise with very little warning. Today, we also live in an age of nuclear, biological, cyber, and other emerging threats. Military readiness is essential to our national and island security. At the same time, military readiness must always be accompanied by accountability. That is why I supported the closure of Red Hill to protect our drinking water and continue to support the cleanup of unexploded ordnance and environmental contamination, including in Makaha. Readiness and accountability are not opposing values. They must exist together. Today, my concern is whether OHA beneficiaries are receiving measurable value from a separate $500,000 initiative that doesn't even support our beneficiaries getting housing grants, when similar work is already being undertaken by the state through macro and the Governor's Native Hawaiian Advisory Committee. I formally submit by my testimony my UIPI request and respectfully ask the board to provide beneficiaries with the initiative's work plan, objectives, budget, expenditures, intended deliverables, measurable outcomes, and how the board will determine whether this $500,000 investment has achieved its intended purpose, whatever that is. Kia kuapu, God bless all of you.
Mauli Jermaine, thank you. Lehua, anyone else signed up for community concerns and celebrations?
There is no one else signed up.
All right, Mauli Lehua members, the next item on the agenda is announcements. I have a few announcements, but I would like to take members, any announcements first? Trustee Kaka.
Yes, I have some announcements, including the attendance of some of us trustees at the PVS Polynesian Voyaging Society, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Hokule'a's first sail and return to Hawaii. And very happy, Trustee Galataria spoke at that gathering, and him having been a crew member and my parents having been crew members over time as well. It was an honor to be there and to hear the voices of the original crew members, those that sailed on that first sail and those that were on the first sail returning back to Hawaii. And very happy to see on PBS as well coverage with Al Harrington emceeing that event upon the return 50 years ago. That was very special. I also wanted to touch on the very sad news of the passing of Anakala and OHA trustee Kamaki Kanahele, and I want to acknowledge and honor him for his, as well as his ohana's many contributions for our Hawaiian people, as well as for our Hawaii community. Mahalo him for his life's work and his endless work to better the conditions for our Native Hawaiian people. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Trustee Akaka. All right, first announcement, out of an abundance of caution with Hurricane Fausto. Of course, we all know the Molokai Island Community Meeting and Board meetings were scheduled from July 27th to July 28th. Trustee Alapo, do we have new confirmed dates, or will that come up at a later time? I believe, according to Pohai, is it September 14th and 15th? No. So the new dates for the Molokai Island Community and Board meetings are September 17th and 18th. Once again, September 17th and 18th. So look out for those updates. Number two, OHA staff, trustees, and leadership will be at Kako'o Oiwi on Friday, August 7th. So please anticipate, for our beneficiaries out there, please anticipate modified OHA services during that day, August 7th. This evening, OHA will be at the Kahuku High and Intermediate Cafeteria for Military Lease Lands Community Briefing and Listening Session. It'll start at 6 p.m. So please attend in person or watch on OHA's live stream on its YouTube channel and Facebook. Our presenters this evening will be Interim Administrator Summer Silva, as well as Chief Advocate Lena Alalei. OHA's Military Lease Lands Technical Advisory Group will be meeting on Saturday, August 8th. That will be the next meeting. And lastly, please remember to vote during the primary election, Saturday, August 8th. Next item on the agenda, Trustee Lindsay. Motion made to adjourn this meeting. Leho, can I get any discussion? Seeing none, can I get a roll call vote?
Trustee Ahuna?
Yes.
Trustee Akaka?
Aye.
Trustee Akina?
Aye.
Trustee Alapa? Trustee Galuteria.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza.
Aye.
Trustee Waihe'e.
Yes.
You have 8 yes votes.
Motion
We are
passes. Mahalo members. Meeting is now adjourned.